Remix. 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 Remix.
Peace. Good morning, everyone. First of all, can you hear me? Just want to make sure we got some audio going. Morning, David, Chitty, Maka, John Kemper. Chitty, can you confirm something for me in the chat? Can you confirm that it's Maka? I don't know if I've been mispronouncing that the whole time. And I want to welcome to the stage, of course, co-host Geechio. Morning, brother. How you doing?
Doing well. How you feeling?
Feeling all right. Need a little bit of water here. This is a great investment, by the way. If y'all don't have one of these canteens, way better than going to the fountain and filling it up all day. So,
what's that? That's a bomb-proof water.
Yeah, pretty much, man. And these things they keep the water cold all day. They heavy as hell, but get yourself close to a gallon. It's like 1.5 liters.
There's a sister I know here who work on I guess pulling up on people on a belt line and be like, how much water did you drink today? People be like,
that's what I'm talking about. That's
people be like zero.
Where is Amber? We checking on our sis right now, trying to find out. Not sure, but mornings can get to us sometimes. Busy days, they pile up. So in the meantime, we could get into our check-in question, although it's an interesting one. I have the opposite answer. I don't really have an immediate one, but our check-in for today, and of course I'll share it with the chat, is, let's see here. And as always, thanks Josh for lacing us with some stories. If you made contact with an extraterrestrial being, Gishi, assuming they can understand us, what would be the first piece of culture you share with them? So I'm assuming conscious life, alien. Yeah, I know we're missing it. I don't want to say the catchphrase, Cynthia. If Amber gets it, we'll get to it. If you ran into an alien, Gishi, what piece of media, of culture are you going to share with them?
I hate to be difficult, but this is the first one. This is the first time I look at it because I was late looking at it. But I don't know. I just would assume. I wouldn't assume that I would be sharing anything with them. They would probably be sharing some shit with me because I feel like I don't know.
So chat's saying they can't hear us. Okay. Hold on. Is it audio is out?
Everybody's audio. Both of our. I had to refresh the app.
Yeah, it might have been something. We got hit with the copyright police yesterday for those who were there with me and Jared. So I don't know. Try click and refresh, y'all. Okay,
you can hear both.
Yeah, some of the chat can say they hear us. Jared tried to adjust for the audience, and actually it was working, and then we messed it up. So I don't want to do anything crazy, but people are saying they can hear us. So we're all right. You were saying sorry about aliens.
Yeah, I think I'm just like because we have done such a poor job at maintaining or stewarding this earth, and because we haven't destroyed these clowns who are controlling and heading us to killing ourselves, I feel like we're not the smartest in the. So I don't want to learn. They don't need to learn shit from me. They need to teach me some shit. I'm coming to learn. I ain't coming to teach shit. So I don't know. That's hard for me to answer.
I mean, I'd be proud. I'm proud of our coach. Our answer was something classic, something that I would never be ashamed of. I would share Stevie Wonder's "As" album.
Oh, and you
I'm not, sorry, Songs in the Key of Life. As is a song now. But I said CV1 the Songs in the Key of Life. I'd be like, listen, we might not have everything figured out, but we've done this music shit. You know, we done this music shit.
Oh, I see now. I see now. See,
Because
whenever,
any piece of culture, not trying to teach them our culture.
but it's set up. I think the way it's set up is because, like, the way I read it, I didn't read it specifically African or Black or whatever. I just read
Right.
it
This culture.
the earth, the culture of the earth versus the culture of wherever they at. That's
Right. Yeah. No, I like to. I always point out it's my critique of superhero stuff, so this will be my next point. But that there's more people in China and India than anywhere else on Earth, yet all the superheroes happen to be white men, usually from the U.S. I find that a little odd. So I do, when I think about culture, when I think of the average human being, right, I usually think of somebody from Asia or the continent. So that helps me with the human beings, because that's a lot of the white sci-fi angst is like, humans are destroying the planet, humanity's a plague, we have to get rid of it, it's all our problem. Like, is it all human beings who are destroying the planet? And it's media culture or just culture. So just culture is how it was written, and as Walter Rodney says, culture is a total way of life. So if we want to talk about the ceremony for burying our dead, ceremony for greeting the newborn, like Rodney talks about, we can include that too. So chat, let us know some things you would share that you think are interesting elements of culture. But my mind immediately went to music as a form of culture. So I thought it's one of the Songs in the Key of Life.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to think when he said if it's media culture or just culture.
Just culture.
Yeah.
Giving them okay, so and this is why the answers are so broad now, which is cool. So I'm seeing share a Twilight Zone from the episode from the 60s. They can gain some insight into psychopathy. A soccer ball, that would be interesting if they have sports or games on their planet. Right? That'd be pretty cool. The movie The Great Wall, White Hero. And let's see, to join us in this check-in, rubbing her eyes, waking up this morning. You always get us. We have our co-host, Amber. What?
I was awake. You're funny.
My skin watch don't work because it looked like
You're what?
my skin watch. It don't really work. I take the time off. Shit.
Man,
Why
I changed my alarm for one day, and that shit did not change back
Oh,
for the other days.
The Memorial Day, is that what did it to you? The iPhone be telling you, hey, you want to turn this alarm off? It'll tell you to turn it
I
back
changed it on like Tuesday or Wednesday because I had to do something for work, and I had to do something later, and I just changed the time to 7, and then apparently it didn't change back, but I thought it did. Shit.
And you got
said Amber, I was coming, girl. I'm sorry.
I told Cynthia you were coming. I wasn't worried. I knew you were gonna make it. Also, Amber deals with the. Go ahead.
Cynthia had her finger on the end button waiting for Amber to come because Amber.
Cynthia's like, I'm done with y'all niggas.
I'm gone.
Oh man.
This is really...
Amber has the East Coast, the EST bias, because you got to wake up an hour earlier than us, and so
exactly.
Honestly, salute.
This is also one of them niggas' faults because I was up helping them with an idea last night, and I should have been asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And I had got to start
offering that labor back to slavery after you say yesterday.
No, literally. I'm giving out idea after idea.
Good morning, beautiful Africans. You can see the check-in question on the bottom of the screen. You could also see any of the stories that we cover in the remix run sheet. And if you see some terms that you hear and don't necessarily know, there's also our Friday remix glossary, which we haven't looked at in a while.
Yeah, added stuff too lately.
But I've been updating it slightly. I think the last update was maybe 2 weeks ago when we talked about femicide and some of those things. But as always, the resources in the show description, check it out. And there's also links that give more information on each of these terms. But Amber, we got a question for you. If you met an alien, that's the question today, what piece of culture would you share with them? And culture does not just have to be media. We talked about culture as a total way of life. So the entire array of the African experience. Is there anything in particular you would show an alien? So the answer has been a soccer ball. I said
Fuck that. I'm gonna ask them why we still here. Why they left
See,
us this
you and
motherfucker.
Geechee cannot follow the instructions. Y'all immediately are like, Geechee's like, oh no, we don't got nothing. I wanted to teach us. Listen, that was not the question. The
No,
question
that
is,
I think you. That's why John was right. I think you read into that question and you did your own thing because that don't look like a much.
I'm reading what? I'm reading
like
the question. The question says, what would be the first piece of culture you share with them?
Listen, you know, as a teacher, whenever you put us in the little boxes and
the
we
students, especially like y'all, don't like the boxes and we'll be answering everything but the question.
Exactly.
My mama made me put the stem of the question in all my answers up until I was like 7 years old.
That's a part.
One piece of culture I would share is, and that is how I have to answer.
I would probably ask them what kind of food they be eating.
See, we
and maybe put them on to some soul food. But other than that, I really would be trying to figure out how the fuck I can go with them.
Yes.
Like, are they doing like shuttle rides back to the other planet? Like, what's happening?
No, I got it, Amber. I'm sorry. Let me clean this one up. The first thing I'm gonna ask them niggas was, we really over there? Did we really leave this motherfucking earth? Because I don't think we left with this motherfucker. So did niggas really come over there? And when they came over there, was they fucking shit up? Because they fuck up shit over here. So I wonder if they fucking up shit over there too.
You know what's so African about y'all is y'all immediately assume that the aliens were more civil and kind and pro-social than we are. And most of the white people in charge of Hollywood assume that aliens are conquerors, colonizers, here to destroy us. So I love that y'all immediately are like, yo, what y'all up to? I'm going with y'all. I think it's a very black response to running into aliens, is immediately assuming they cool. So I love that. I love that it's not the upside down or whatever Stranger Things was talking about, all these other paranormal things. So cool.
Shirley said, I just want you to make sure you saw Lorick that Shirley said the show doesn't start until Amber graces her appearance, and I agree.
I was keeping
Thanks, guys.
Hey, listen, Lord, since you just remind me, maybe also I would ask, I would have a defensive posture because the last time we saw some aliens, they came over and took all our fucking land, and they
those aliens, exactly. Unfortunately, they are also
do you think they're like that Will Smith movie, the Independence Day movie?
See, again, that was like that propaganda. They had to go and just, I don't know.
It's still a little propagandized.
Yeah, USA, you got to blow them up. But I also talked about how in movies like Avengers, for example, the only way that you can make humanity, for whatever, unite and use and justify all this military technology, because again, Iron Man completely abandons his premise. His dad was a weapons dealer who was selling to both sides or whatever, and his business partner tries to betray him and works with like a terrorist cell. That's how it works. And so the original movie is about him coming to terms with his legacy as like a weapons manufacturer and trying to turn that into clean energy. It transforms into this whole shield bullshit by the end, and you completely forget where it started. But in that case, it's like, why, Tony, do you have this, super advanced military suit capable of destroying small nations? And the only way to justify that is to create some super mega threat like Thanos that just wants to colonize half the universe for no fucking reason. But if you don't have that, then it's just like, oh, wait, are we the bad guys? Are we the big military force? And so I think that's the main reason.
Are you the problem?
Because it's like, how else do you justify this military? How else do you justify all this spending, all these jets, spending more than the next 7 countries combined on your military and sinking it into a black hole? So you have to create some sort of imaginary threat that has weapons that are somehow more destructive than, the U.S. empire's weapons. So that's what I think about it. And yes, exactly, Yipper. The movies that I find more interesting, like Avengers: Age of Ultron, those are the ones that kind of get subsumed because you got to make it bigger and you got to bring all the Avengers in and all that. But when he actually creates something that is the world police and then it turns on him and his AI turns on him, I think that's the movie that a lot of people don't think is as fun to engage with Avengers. But all right, so that's what y'all want to do. Y'all want to run away with the aliens, and Amber's gonna teach them about soul food. I think that's fair. I think that's.
And I barely even eat soul food, but I do just want to know what the food is like before we go there, just in case. I gotta have a few backup recipes just in case. You never know. They might be eating slop.
That's true. That's true. We got to see what.
That's what scares me about Big Brother is that they be on that whole eating slop, and I'm just like, I can't do it.
Speaking
and they be talking about how like they can't like they don't allow them to make modifications to the slop, so they like be just eating it and like drinking water, and they just be like swallowing quickly. And I was like,
well, don't you think that I've heard eating like the process by which humans eat, because other animals don't all eat this way, as like kind of a creepy process? No, like wouldn't that sound kind of disturbing to an alien? Like you have to put things in your mouth and grind them up with these things in here. That's why I feel like just being able to inhale.
The aliens might have teeth too.
No, I know, and maybe it'd be weird if they evolved that, because I feel like having to grind your sustenance into your mouth and swallow it's a little weird. I would love if I could just, just inhale, or be like the plants and just sit in the sun and and that's it.
You just absorb all the nutrients.
Right.
I would also ask the aliens about they might have they got a Jared alien who has the myth and propaganda about alien buying power and stuff like that. But I would ask them if how they feel about the propaganda of I think you said it earlier, and then Art said it, that the Pentagon normally has to approve which cartoons and superheroes make it to the airwaves. So I would ask.
Really?
Yeah. We covered it a little one time on here, but with the CIA's Negroes in Pictures, how they specifically started putting Black people as like lawyers, judges, sheriffs, and things to pretend like the system's more inclusive than it is. But there's a lot more, like pretty much all of, and Samantha Youssef covers this on the channel too, if you're looking at her stuff. All of that stuff is Department of Defense approved. Usually at the end, if you watch credits all the way to the end, like they make us do in Avengers, you'll see where it thanks the U.S. Air Force, the Navy, the DOD, all of them for approving the scripts, for providing the military equipment, because how else do they get those weapons and the state-of-the-art jets and stuff like that? So, yep. Pretty much all U.S. State Department approved, which is why Black Panther is the most CIA-ass film imaginable.
That's why you never really know the unless you go over there, but you don't really know the media that other countries get access to when they're thinking about America. So imagine how the information you get about other countries.
That's so true.
You'd be like, well, I know in Venezuela they did this. You'd be like, where you read that from? Vice News. Huh? Vice ain't no news. So it's the same thing over there. They be having like, so like.
I was watching this TikTok where this guy was talking about that, about like how you need to start reading international news, because it's not even that the international news people don't know what's happening here. It's that we don't know what's happening here because they're not telling us. And this guy was just reading 5 stories from different international newspapers, and one of them was about the Puerto Rican vote being diluted in Florida with the new congressional maps, and how nobody is actually talking about the Puerto Ricans. And I was like, yeah, you would think they'd be mentioning that. Like, and then the article was talking about how it's severely dilutes. It was an article from Brazil, but it talked about how they severely dilute Puerto Rican voting power with these new maps. And I was like, yeah, you haven't heard any of that shit though.
Yep. We know the U.S. even internally doesn't discuss its own colonies. So shout out Disrupt the Chaos yesterday with Dr. Rosa and Debbie.
It was really good.
Yeah, talking about Puerto Rico, but the people don't read Black Agenda Report either, right? They're not hearing about the 287G agreements and the 1088 programs and all of that. So 100%. I do wonder, critique and question for other societies, experiments like China, for example, what they think about limiting access to some of this stuff. Because I do understand and because of how the U.S. propaganda machine works, which we've discussed on this show plenty of times, they will get critiques that they're not free, and some weird CIA-funded think tank will say there are 2 points on the Freedom Index or something, right? If they don't allow U.S. propaganda into their nations. But I do wonder, I'm like, if I'm China, am I allowing like the CIA propaganda from Marvel to come into my society? I think about that a lot. And the way that we talked about with cultural imperialism and that discussion about the British actors and all that, these kind of things get ignored. But most of the people were like debating stuff in China, like, oh, are they, making the black character on the poster smaller was a debate for a while, or are they not as much promoting Black Panther and stuff like that in the society? It's more of this kind of liberal representation stuff. When I'm just like, why are they even allowing Black Panther over there in the first place? Like, that's not a good movie for their people. If I were in a free society, I'm certainly not allowing Marvel to come into my country and Captain fucking America. How healthy is that for your society to see a literal Captain America superhero? So I think about that a lot. If it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't let them in, you're not free. You're not allowing for democracy. You're not allowing your people to choose. But if you do let them in, again, I wonder about that representation. Another debate that I won't call liberal was in the sequel to Black Panther. They represent a Black queer relationship. I think a lesbian relationship with it might be Okoye, because she dates Daniel Kaluuya's character in the first movie, and then
Definitely was a lesbian.
In the second movie, yeah, or queer bi, whatnot. But in the second movie, she's now with the character who I'm forgetting her name. Beautiful cheekbones. I May Destroy You is the show that she had, but they're dating. They're dating in that movie. I'll look her name up. And so, I mean, the critique was like that. Apparently, China censored that scene. I would have to verify again. I want to verify it. But if it is true, then that is a super relevant critique of China that's not liberal. Why are y'all worried about censoring same-sex relationships when in reality you should be censoring that whole fucking movie? The first movie is a CIA op about Pan-Africanism and being revolutionary. The second movie is a CIA op about Black and Indigenous solidarity, where they make us fight the native people for some strange reason.
You know, one thing I didn't understand, like, somebody put it in the chat, Michaela Cole. I was reading something about like how people in China are like persecuted for being Christians and shit. And like when I was younger, I was like, oh, that makes sense, I guess. But as I was getting older, I was like, why are they persecuted for being Christians? Like, what is the religion in China? Why do they care? I was so confused because it was like a big theme, like in churches, to like be helping people from China, seek asylum or like be refugees here in the US because of religious persecution. And I was like, is that a thing for real? I started questioning everything like a few years ago. I was like, is that really a thing? Like, was they really doing that?
Yeah, I don't think so, because of the same propaganda they're saying about they have 8 million Uyghurs in concentration camps, and then none of that is true. I think China's a secular state, though, which is why they're also called godless, communists and all of that. But I'm pretty sure they allow religious expression in their society, and they're actually better about it than the U.S. But I'm not sure, because again, all I do is source the stuff. Now, I know the Uyghur stuff is all from some right-wing evangelical dude named Adrian Zenz, who works for a think tank, is CIA approved, and based his whole 8 million Uyghurs based on 8 interviews. So we have that evidence. But Bukayo Snaka says, so China doesn't censor same-sex relationships. And yeah, maybe I'm irresponsible for saying that. I just heard the rumor. But American companies selling to China do, China never requested. Okay. So that would answer my question and resolve that. So I'll make sure I look into that more often.
And Chidi Masha answered my question about the religion thing.
That China was spread via European colonialism.
Christianity was spread.
Christianity was spread via European colonialism. China rejects as much as they can, which is why they've rejected colonial time zones. Now that rejecting the white man's calendar, I talk about that a lot. Some of the
need white man's paperwork.
Hey man, some of the astrology folks don't like it when I'm like, you're using the white man's calendar for these star signs. Okay, why not use the Chinese zodiac if you want to have fun with stuff? But that makes sense. And we're actually going to talk about Cuba today, at least for my story, because I want to talk about the Raul Castro indictment and that bullshit and the Gusanos and how they're spreading it. And right now, the U.S. State Department, U.S. imperialism is trying to get active on the island, as they have been for many years, and we'll talk about that, using the Catholic Church That is where they're funneling their resources. That's where their assets exist on the island. So yes, we got to talk about, I think, societies that have to protect themselves against colonialism, understand missionaries were literally the first ones involved in the colonialism. So I do understand some things like that. With that said, y'all got any more things on this? I know we've been talking about superhero shows. I've been binge watching The Boys. I'm not sure if y'all have seen that one. The Boys is a pretty good show. It kind of is a satire. Is satire the word? It satirizes Marvel and all these superhero shows by basically saying what if superheroes actually existed in the U.S. empire. And basically, the Avengers are evil. They were produced by a corporation called Vought, and they try to take over society, and they eventually do. And so that's the point of the show. I love it. I think it is an excellent critique of fascism, of white supremacy, and that ideology. And when they're writing that, I think they do it super, super well. I actually haven't seen a show that I think kind of reflects that as clearly as The Boys does. Unfortunately, where they suck. So it's like A for writing the white supremacist, patriarchal, like capitalist mindset. They nail that. They fucking suck at writing revolution, specifically Black, brown, colonized characters. It is terrible. So I would say if you watch that show, watch for the representation of the white villains and white psychology. I think it's terrible with Black characters. It's terrible with writing their Asian woman. Oh my God, she's just a horny woman for her white man. And also, if you just want to boycott the show, it's cool because one of the main characters turns out to be a Zionist. The one who plays a French, he actually plays an Algerian on the show, which is wild.
And it's called a what?
Zionist. It's called The Boys. The Boys. I think it's just The Boys, B-O-Y.
It's a TV series.
Okay. Manifesto did the B-O-Y-Z, but I think it's B-O-Y-S. And yes, it's on Amazon Prime, which is the ultimate contradiction, right? It is literally on, it's like the court jester that we talked about. Like they're trying to parody the king while they're like in the king's court. So it's literally on the most, you know.
I can't believe you haven't watched The Boys, Geechee.
I don't know how I would have watched it. I don't.
It's my shit. I do agree. Somebody in the chat said they feel like they tapered off. Oh, I see it now. It's this comment. They heard they tapered off as far as quality. I stopped watching in season 4. I think when they had this dude having an orgy with himself, it wasn't with himself. There was another person.
Oh no, there's one where there's one with. Yeah, that's the one with himself.
I mean, the show, the one that has the clones or whatever. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So Amber does watch it. Yeah,
I don't think it tapered off as far as quality. I think it felt like it did because they had to end because the season ended. Like the Generation V, which is a spinoff show of like kids who had superpowers, that ended because people was complaining about it. Apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently people was complaining about it. And so they ended that one. They had to end The Boys too because it's a spinoff of The Boys. And so they ended it. So I felt like they didn't taper off with quality, but they were like just throwing everything at the wall. Everything that could possibly happen was happening and was very extreme, but also it was actually very similar to what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Not gonna hold you. Like the nigga on the show, spoiler alert, if y'all ain't seen it, the nigga on the show talking about he the reincarnation of God and shit. He the real God. And what is y'all president doing? Posting himself as God. So
yeah,
maybe they was on to something because this was filmed before this motherfucker was posting himself as God.
Yeah. It's the art imitating life thing. Like the issue with the show is like The Onion made the joke that like we can't predict because reality is like doing the satire for us sort of thing. So they are directly taking from stuff they see. Like, so that's why it's like The Simpsons, like, oh, they predicted it. No, The Simpsons is just reading the news of the time and just making comedy about it. So they even have an AOC characters for spoiling. Spoilers, come back in 5 minutes, get some tea, stretch if you want. The reason they have this AOC character, Victoria Newman, who she's, I think brown in the show, but not brown Puerto Rican, brown something else. And she turns out to be an agent the whole time, and she's evil, and she's trying to get power and stuff. That was AOC, obviously. And I get that. They are really good at making Black and brown characters participate in the fascism and the capitalism of course. But then they are terrible at making black and brown characters revolutionaries, which is, of course, the main point of the show. That's why I cannot stand it. I'm like, y'all white boys need to stop writing revolution. It is bad. So, of course, I mean, they even have the white character like Huey telling the black woman, don't give up hope. We have to escape prison. You can't give up. Like yes, she needs you, white man, to tell her. It's a black woman. She has to escape prison. They never give the black man character powers. They refuse to do that so that he can actually join in and fight. They butcher the Panthers many times. So of course the CIA, like we said, they have their script writers editing that stuff in the background. So the Panther characters, they play with Panther aesthetics. They have Mother's Milk's character having Huey for Congress in the background. They try and talk about the CIA like they're good guys, which is crazy. And they talk about the crack epidemic and the CIA's role in it. But
because they're using the guys who took down Homelander saying that they're CIA agents.
Yes.
Because that's the only way they can explain what's going on, because only one of them is a CIA agent, which is Butcher. Butcher's the only one who's a CIA agent. The other ones were like superheroes or people who fuck with superheroes.
Right,
but
criminals.
Somebody in the chat said it was Generation Z that's a spinoff. No, it's Generation B. Gen B, because they're taking that V up their veins, bitch. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah, it's Generation B. And I feel like someone else in the chat said somebody died. I said, I feel like that was also one of the catalysts of it, is that
the black co-star and
one of the superstar, like the light-skinned dude tragically passed. He did. It was very unexpected, but that also kind of fucked up the show, because they had to figure out a way to like talk about him dying. So they killed him off on the show too. And that was a whole thing. And it kind of changed the way the show was going. So I think that also kind of impacted it.
Yeah.
Which is I don't want him to die either, but also him dying really did change like the perception and like the temperament people had. Like everybody was all of a sudden so fucking angry and shit. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah. And they so the show has a lot of fascist propaganda in the sense of, I'll show this story about horseshoe theory, but in the sense that like white liberals, I always talk about this critique. It's my critique with Attack on Titan, it's my critique with Black Panther, all of them, is Avatar. They make it like, well, if fascism's the problem, how do we solve it? And then it's like, it can't be revolution, because that makes you as bad as the fascists. And so that's like where their brain breaks, and they cannot write the revolutionary characters because they're like, wait, maybe we do have to respond with violence to this violent sort of thing. And so a lot of the final season, which I'm trying to speed run because it is repetitive, is like this liberal, dopey Jiminy Cricket, as Butcher calls him, character Huey, who's just like a do-gooder, and we can't do this. We're going to be just like the enemies. We're just going to be like the bad guys. And what I appreciate about Butcher, he's like, no, we're not. Like, he even has this whole sacrificial thing, but he's like, bro, this dude raped my wife. He murders people and bathes in their blood. Like Danvers said, he's literally calling himself God. I don't understand how liberals see that and are like, yeah, we're going to become that. I might become that too. Like, how? And that's how they write the prison revolt in The Boys. The college students are literally being tortured and experimented on. And when they break out,
when that man was beating that dude with his large penis, I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?"
Each of the show's a little interesting with the graphic.
Some of the people have very sexualized superpowers, Geechee, and one guy has a very, very, very long penis that he was using to beat people in the freedom camps, which is basically the internment camps they were putting the superheroes in who did not agree with Homelander or like the ruling class people, whatever. Very, very American.
Yeah, very American. Very much but how they write imperialism.
Phrasing.
There's no phrasing here. It's just straight up crazy.
Mother's Milk, a very long body part.
It was wild. And Mother Milk, of course, has to take on the white man's dick, which they write a lot with his character. So what irritates me, there's all sorts of counter-revolutionary stuff they put in there. So as Amber points out with the CIA, they whitewash I'm forgetting what was done, the Contra affair. So they basically act like it's a rogue element of CIA superheroes that did the Contra affair and not the CIA themselves. It's just very terrible writing, and it whitewashes the CIA. And then when Mother's Milk finally, as the black virtue character, makes her say, "What did y'all do?" She's like, "We dropped crack in neighborhoods with people of color." She doesn't even say black people. The CIA just says people of color. And so it's just that they brutalize the Asian revolutionary on screen because of course they have to. And then his sister's in love with the white man who is actually, he's playing a French Algerian, but he's actually a Zionist in real life. So that dude is an Israeli. So that also kind of disgusts me about the show. But all of these things are to say, I do think when they talk about Homelander's character, when they write the superheroes, the way they get their powers is from a compound V that Amber was talking about that they inject. They basically kidnap kids and inject them with it, and then they turn them into like child stars or superheroes for their industry. And of course, they write the black man as the mastermind capitalist behind it all, and it's the typical. They love that as well. There's a sister, whatever her name is.
Sister Sage,
horribly written character.
About her sticking that shit in her eye was insane, bro.
She's the super smart one who basically becomes the accomplice to Homelander, but it's this big like fetishizing black women, black girls are the best and all of that. She's so smart and all that, but she works with the fascists because she likes to dom them, dumb shit. And they make it like she is a fascist because my grandma was a Panther and they abused her and they beat her and killed her. And so because my grandma was a Panther, I literally work with fascists. It is insane how they write that character, really disgusting. Mother's Milk's character, like I said, also exists to, all the conspiracy theories about the black man in the dress, that you don't need that. Like Mother's Milk is a muscular black man. He's Liza Alonso's character. That's the black guy on the team with the beard.
Oh, MM.
Yeah. is his character's name is Mother's Milk. And they write him super weird where he has a wife and a daughter who are estranged from him because of his work. Again, this idea that all the black families don't understand what it's like to be a revolutionary and have to sacrifice to fight fascism. It's just hilarious. All the white people need to teach us. And so the mom's like, typical, oh my God, you're lying to us. You're back in this. Oh man, I got to take my daughter to protect her. And what she ends up doing is running to a white man, right? Which is disgusting. And then on top of that, the white man ends up being like a Trumper or a MAGA person. That's the whole secret is like Homeland. He actually is a big fan of Homelander. And so Mother's Milk is like, yo, you're around my daughter. And he goes and beats this white man up. And his wife is, oh my God, oh, you beat up my new husband type shit. And the white boys in the writer's room having a great time. Love to, again, they have Mother's Milk fight the white man's dick, literally that character. And before that, they have a joke that the black wife loves the MAGA dude because he has a big dick, which is like, again, yeah, it's gross. White men and their sexual proclivities are on full display on that show. So if you don't want to watch it, completely understand that as well. Of course, yes, don't forget about A-Train, another person who just, they write him like shit. And it's pretty gross as well. They take him from the hood or whatever because he's super fast and can run. And he's basically a coward the entire time, which is just, again, exhausting to me. None of the actual superheroes. Yeah, go ahead, Brittany. I'm good. I think it's good for media study and media criticism. So if you're interested in that, do that. Like Amber's saying, like I'm saying, the way they portray the fascism, it's pretty much in your face. But that's like what we said with the court jester. I think they're allowed to do that because they recognize that they're on Amazon Prime and they're making Jeff Bezos millions upon millions of dollars with this kind of show. So they're critiquing, and then the critique is being commodified. The whole thing, capitalism will sell you the rope to hang it with. So as long as they can make money off this, they cool. And like we just said, they're not writing revolutions. They don't talk about imperialism. And last thing I'll say that I appreciate is the black man fascists, the black woman fascists who they put in there do say certain things that are very clear. So what Stan, who's played by Giancarlo Desposito, he goes on to tell like the Trump character, he's like, it's not about you. Like, this is about capitalism. And so he does tell the guy to his face, like, you have your psychopathy and all your issues and all that. But he's like, Vought is a pharmaceutical company, bro. Like, that's what it is. He said we're a big empire. Yeah, if there's not you, we'll create another you. We got the drug. So that becomes the main, thrust of the show is like actually it's capitalism, it's imperialism.
I see Brittany asking if we'll talk about boosters. I haven't seen it yet. I think I'm going to see it today, but I haven't seen it yet. So
I'm
no.
going to see it tonight too. So we can come back. Geechee, you seen it yet?
Nah, my booster website ain't working for booster. I only got it. I only got it in
So funny.
some Asian language that I can't speak. So
is it subbed? It's not even subbed.
nah, I ain't even stuff.
Oh, it's on that camera rip quality right now.
But I am watching the other booster joint that is a short film.
Jared recommended Rainbow Girls.
Rainbow Girls. Shit. I'm about to watch that first.
Definitely. It's like only 20 minutes or so. So Rainbow Girls is something Jared recommended. We talked about it yesterday on the Black Atheist Tradition. Check that out if you haven't. It was called Revolutionary Skepticism with Lou Turner. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to watch I Love Boosters tonight, Amber, so we can definitely chop it up about it. And Geechee, I was talking about it.
I'm going to go to the movie. I'm going to go to the movie just because y'all going to the movies.
Word. Okay, cool. We can talk about it. Jack Sparrow that shit once it's available on the sites. It seems like it's not up right now. So for the people who don't want to,
I'm gonna support our communist friend Boots this time.
Yeah. I have in the past. And also selfish. See, this is the thing. What happened? What happened to that industry, man? We used to have a domestic industry. I love that Boondocks episode where they go to the movies to record Soul Plane 3 and Riley's in there making the movie for the bootleg. My uncle used to bring home bootleg DVDs. I loved that. Yes, somebody would get in front of the camera every now and then and get up to go to the bathroom, but I just missed that DVD quality shot from the camera stuff. Now it's all uploaded and somebody watches it in China, like you said. Get us back. We need our industries back. I miss it. Ditter. Okay. Woo, I read that one wrong. I thought that said diddler. Ditter said your revolutionary skepticism vid had me on my rabbit hole that led me to check Anna Diop. That's exactly what we want you to do. So thank you for checking it out.
Shout out to Brittany for donating $10 to Geechee's movie ticket fund.
Geechee, you got a ticket. Yeah. If y'all want to give some more so Geechee could get some of that popcorn, we already know.
Wait, slow down. Let me be honest with y'all. So I'm covering this strike story, and y'all ain't gonna flip me over and say that I'm getting that money because I ain't get that money. The money going somewhere else. You know what I mean? So like y'all got
in the pot and it gets distributed among.
You gotta be careful about them strikes, man. You never know. You catch them wrong deals.
I'm screaming.
Donate some more and get Geechee some popcorn. What else you like?
You gotta watch out for these people's structures, man. You never know.
What's your snack? What's your go-to movie?
You fuck around, had to spend at least $3,000 for me to get $10.
That is not how it works. We know the structure. Don't let that lie. Donate to the Patreon. We actually give our people.
That's a tactic for us to get more, man. You missing it.
I'm sorry. Amber, what's your go-to movie snack? What you getting tonight? Or do you sneak into the theater?
I'll be getting popcorn with a side of cheese, like the hot nacho cheese, and
you dip the popcorn in the cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Yo,
it's delicious.
We gotta promise that we're gonna get closer to the clouds before we go into the movie theater.
Oh,
I'm on break, unfortunately.
Oh, you can't.
Why you on break? You gotta take a drug test?
Nah, self-discipline sort of thing.
Come on, self-discipline. I don't do that many drugs, so I don't have to do all that.
No, even though that was my amount of choice, and even I'm on break. So I'm gonna watch it straight up. But I'm enjoying the world. I know how to enjoy things with my sobriety too. So shout out.
Damn, y'all donated hella money now. We just mentioned that Geechee needs some movie money, and y'all just giving the shit out.
Yeah, I got a super
shout out. Anonymous Grasshopper 4396. Here's some snacks for your pocket too. Those $2 again. That's for you to go to the gas station and grab your snacks before you go to the movie theater.
I'm not gonna lose.
So check that out.
Geechee, I haven't been to a liquor house spot in so long. I thought I started talking to that liquor house music nigga we was talking about.
Oh man,
I know.
you gotta put the new cat on liquor house too, man. He, you gotta test
He
that.
actually does like liquor house music,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was,
Everybody like liquor house, man.
it was a spot here, and I just like going, but I ain't been in so long. I gotta find a new spot actually. I feel like there's more, but I do want to go to a trail ride this summer, and I feel like they play really good liquor house music at the trail rides too. Josh said, not Amber calling his brother an addict. I'm not. I was just pointing out that I don't do enough drugs to take a break. So we being honest.
No, that's good. That means your tolerance is up. It's called a tea break.
But sometimes I will do something before I go to the movie. I don't think I can do it before this one though, Geechee, because the way they say in the movie is like it's like a dystopian future type shit. That shit being being lit will be too much. I don't even be drinking.
That's gonna be the right.
Yeah, I'll be in there envisioning all kinds of shit. It'd be too much.
And we're still going.
That's enough. That's a liquor house.
Yeah, we're gonna get copyright strike. I was already in copyright jail yesterday, Geechee.
Really?
I'm bad.
Yeah,
My bad.
They struck our stream.
But since we're talking about music, Mona Leo dropped a new track last night called Everything Pinka with Tizo Touchdown, and it's a hit. It's a hit record. And Lotto dropped her album today. I'm not that excited to listen to it, but
Lotto.
Yeah.
Y'all listen to Lotto, the rapper?
I do listen to Lotto.
Oh,
girls like her.
But I'm not really excited about this album.
Wait, what's one of them that say they ain't black?
That's not Lotto, but she talks about white mom.
Ice Spice.
They do say some biracial Mars. No, Ice Spice. I don't think Ice Spice ever.
Are you talking about Tyler?
No, not Tyler.
No, she just said she's.
I thought
that's in South Africa. Lotto does do some I Got a White Mama rap. She is a white mama biracial, to be fair. But she got some hits. She got some bangers. My brother likes her too.
I like
I
her.
will say
Her and
go ahead.
Cardi B song. What's the song? Her and Cardi B got a song together?
Probably. No question they don't at this point. But I know that. Amber, spin that shit. That's number one in these Florida streets right now. Shout out.
Spin that shit. Nigga, spin that shit. Bro, it's this guy on TikTok who be doing this little dance to the song, and it's so catchy. But I really hate to admit I don't actually like the song. It's kind of lame. But I do like the spin that shit. Spin that shit. It's just something in my brain. Like it's really catchy.
No, I thought you were saying something. Spin that check and get it right back.
Hey, I like that too.
Yeah, there's that one too. Yeah. No.
Oh, Mac heard me singing that song and he came right on in because he knows that he's always taking all my money.
He said, "What? We about to get some treats."
Hi, buddy.
I know the song.
Say hi.
What's up, Mac? How you doing?
He literally walked right in, which means he knows that he's taking all my money.
He said, "Let the money talk." You dead, bro. That's your daddy's fault.
This the dance. I know what you're talking about.
I just spent some money on him yesterday. I was buying him his little dental treats and like some snacks and stuff. That man expensive, boy.
So he knows. He said trick on me. That's it.
Oh shit! I thought you said
this the dance everybody been talking about.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Spin that shit. When they be doing that little spin that shit, it's so cute.
Yes. I haven't been outside. I haven't had a chance to do it yet. Oh man.
When you do it, make sure you film it.
Florida. You know what? I just not noticed. Florida, Memphis, and South Carolina are the places where you're gonna have dark skinned niggas with gold in their mouth dancing like ever. Everywhere, them niggas gonna be dancing, but them.
Of course.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
No question. Yeah, man been doing the dance more. That's but we've enjoyed that song just as much. The places LeBron wants to shut down. Oh,
That's so
man.
true, though.
It is. That's funny. All right, y'all. We're coming up on 9 o'clock. Y'all ready to get into some news? All right, we're gonna rotate stories. Amber, you were last, so you up first, of course. So you get to pick the first story we go through.
I don't have a story.
I enjoy that little jam. Now I'm starting to grow on me. Welcome, y'all. Friday Remix, Amber, Geechee, Lorik. Here to cover some news today, some stories as we always do on the Remix Morning Show. Amber, if you didn't have one you wanted from the run sheet, we could start with me and then I could pass it to Geechee. And if you find one, let me know. But this was a content creator. Renee liked this post as well. Thought it was pretty interesting. Typical.
God, I was muted. Oh my God, I was just talking away.
Oh, okay. I didn't see my bad. I was on the other screen. Did you have a story? You want to go?
It's okay. No, I was saying, yeah, you can go ahead and go. I'm gonna
Word. This was on some cost of living propaganda. It's just typical right-wing things that we probably hear out every now and then. I don't hear it from Black people as much, thankfully. But the financial literacy crowd loves this one. Responsible spending. It's your fault if you don't budget. If you saved $1 every day, you have $1 million by 40. These types of things. So this was a discussion.
Which don't be true. I really hate that rhetoric. But I'm not gonna hold you. The first part do be partially true. I do not be budgeting and I don't be spending responsibly, and it do be my fault. But I was never gonna have $1 million. I was never have $1 million. And I find that's true for a lot of millennials. I very much be spending that shit. Be spending to the last dollar to the day I'm finna get paid. And I don't care. I just keep doing it. It's a problem, but it's okay.
I think there are, I know people who do budget like crazy though. And then what we're trying to talk about, like regardless, because I think there's a reason that you're like that, Amber. And to some degree, I'm not, but I get the impulse because this shit is made up. They raised the prices, gases. How much is gas for y'all at? My brother in Chicago says over $6.
Almost $5. I'm over this shit.
Yeah, Geechee, you?
I can't even remember, but yeah, about the same.
Yeah.
Before.
Me and my brother drive Civics. When we bought them shits, it was $23 to fill up our tank.
It cost me $17 to fill up.
Back in the day, yeah. Now it's $50 to fill up my tank, yo. $5.49, yeah, that's about what it is. What I'm seeing, it's a little lower here. Sometimes you could get it for $4.80 if you go to the gas station like 2 a.m. or something like that. But yeah, so when you see that kind of stuff, of course, you're like, this shit is ridiculous. So wanted to just give this example of this video. And of course, the billionaires who are price gouging, who run this economy, will tell you it's your fault. Stop buying Chipotle bowls and iPhones. It's your fault you're poor. So check this out.
Kids that are making 70 grand a year, spending $28 for lunch. I mean, that's just stupid.
That whole crew.
And how much do you think lunch costs, Kevin O'Leary? Let's say I'm a young person fortunate enough to be making $70,000 a year because the city-sized data centers you're building haven't yet taken my job. And I wanted to order lunch. And we're not talking expensive sushi, we're talking fast casual. A standard salad at Sweet Green currently costs $20. We can add a can of soda and, oops, guess I'm never gonna own a house. A well-known 24-hour diner in Midtown Manhattan that literally calls itself No Frills charges $24 for a BLT. A burrito, chips, and water at Chipotle costs $26. You co-own a restaurant that charges $25 for a Caesar salad and a fast casual chain that charges $21 for dumplings. Your generation, and specifically people like you and your relentless allegiance to maximizing profit at all costs, has made it so $28 is just what lunch costs. And this is to say nothing of the cost of home ownership, something most people my age can't even fathom. So forgive us if we blow our savings on luxuries like fast casual burritos. Oh, Kevin O'Leary. If you had to spend one day in the 2026 you helped create on a salary of $70,000, you'd probably kill yourself before it even got to lunchtime.
Can't stand.
So that's one part. I wanted to play a follow-up, but just again, the fact that he owns a damn restaurant that charges those prices, like that's what I want, because people never see the other side of the coin. Essentially, they don't see him hiding his hand and throwing stones. You say it's $28 and you own a restaurant that charges that much for people to buy lunch. Like it's crazy.
Don't y'all remember? Like I feel like all the Shark Tank cast members have been talking a whole lot lately on the fucking cameras and stuff, and they already show what type of fucking sharks they are. Like, I mean,
yeah, he's an exploiter, a billionaire, but he is gonna. This is why you shouldn't take him, seriously. But at the same time, because of the psych warfare of financial literacy, of buying power, this is still put on people. And so, yes, I do not think people see the fact that this dude owns the place that he's telling you is too expensive. And then, of course, it'll be like, you should just buy from grocery stores and all that. You own them too. This is monopoly capitalism. So it'll be like, why aren't you just cooking your lunch and taking it home and telling people to do a bunch of stuff that we know how to do anyway, and that it's still going to take labor and time. And as we just said, you still got to pay gas to get to the grocery station because y'all don't allow for public transportation. So all of this kind of stuff, it's just a shell game that puts the onus on the consumer and not the capitalist. So I also have this one that I really like, because Sister Fab Socialism, although I think she has kind of deleted her channel since then, did a review of Jared's Myth of Black Buying Power. And it was one of the best I've seen, because this is an exercise I wanted Jared to do. And so, again, I know Samantha's working on that graphic novel. Maybe this can be in there. But when we talk about our consumer spending and all of that, it's very absent this like average person concept for the data, right? 70,000 is not an average salary. Let's start there, right? That's funny as hell that this rich white man thinks that that's like the average salary of people. The average salary is closer to 52,000, I think, for a family. I think that's median family income.
Yeah, it is.
In the U.S. So, brother, you're talking about somebody who makes more money than average, not somebody who's the average person, which is close to like between 30 and 45 grand. So already,
if we're being realistic, I've made $70K for like 5 years, and that was still never enough money. And I don't have any children, and I just have the dog.
Yeah, and if you don't have no children,
other people who making less than that, they're definitely struggling. Which is why I was like, y'all don't be in touch with real people, because I was definitely still working side gigs and doing all kinds of shit. That is not enough money, not in this economy.
Right. And as Black people, then there's the added all this, the whiteness of wealth and all the Black tax and all of these things. You're often the one who's supposed to be supporting family while you have that. So you had a good job and you went to school and all that. So that means that your job is to now then support family in the way that this country bleeds all workers, but specifically Black people. So you got to put money for somebody who might be incarcerated. You got to pay for somebody who's got even car tickets, all the rentier ways that they get us in this economy, right? So that you live in a neighborhood, you want to live in your Black neighborhood, and there aren't services in that way. So you have to end up supporting your community in that way too. So all of that. But this is the exercise I was talking about. So Fab Socialism did that. Shout out her. If she ever uploads that video again, I hope we can find it.
She's still up? I thought she stopped.
No, she deleted all her stuff, but she had a review of the Myth of Black Buying Power, where she did this exercise that I would want Jared to do and Samantha to do.
Why did she delete all her stuff?
I think she was tired of the YouTube game and whatever cornbread tube is, and had critiques of all of that. My whole thing is just, just organize those resources. They're valuable.
I don't know if she was expecting what she was expecting though. But.
Right, exactly. But what I will say is, so what I like, we have a Black Men Build Theory Thursday on financial literacy that Jared and now Dr. Erica Brown participated in. Really appreciate it. I put it up there as one of the best explanations of, financial black buying power. I'm biased, so check it out yourself. But when I asked the question, I'm like, so Dr. Yusuf had this point as well, Geechee, because there's always going to be this sense of like agency. To Amber's point, Amber's like, yeah, I could be spending better, I could be saving better. So there's always a question Black people are going to know, well, what do we do with the limited things we have? And I think sometimes Jared stumbles with that question a little bit. But I do think, of course, the answer is organization. And then, yes, you do have to find ways to, even if they aren't going to drastically break the system, consciously spend your money. That's part of the internal transformation of becoming a revolutionary, is changing your habits. Jared's a vegan, Geechee, you're a vegan, Diallo's a vegan, changing your diet, decolonizing how you move through the world. Is that going to break the system of, factory farming? No, not on its own, but it does position you better as a organizer, as a revolutionary, to then challenge those things and to know how the alternatives exist. So I wanted to say that to say, we asked Dr. Erica, what do you do with, the little money you might have left over? Let's say you have a job and you're on a tea break like me, and so you might have a little extra $30 in your pockets every 2 weeks. What can you do? Well, I donate, for example, to Burkina Faso Library, right? That's one of the things I do. I put money on people's books, mutual aid, bailout funds, stuff like that. Speaking of Brother Kali Akuno, currently is facing health complications, so he needs a donation, and Baba Darupa also needs donations. I might find those links and put them in the chat. So these are the things we can do with our buying power. But again, that's not a concept for real. So we have to challenge the myth first and foremost, and then talk about how we can use our disposable income. That's the actual term for it, not buying power, disposable income, to, support the institutions, organizations, and individuals that we want. But this is a thing that I want done. So talking about, okay, what is the average salary? So the median family income salary, I believe, is $52K, right? Something around there. Someone can check my math or use Google AI or whatever to get it. So check this out, this discussion of 50K was a good salary before 2021. Now, this can be said any single time inflation happens, so don't just stick to this magical year. But this is something I 100% observed just in my time through school and to entering the job market again. So
I am not going to be gaslit by y'all, because I know for a fact 50K was a comfortable salary before COVID, and I have proof of this. Before we get started, let me just show y'all what the numbers look like. I didn't have a 401k, and I paid for health insurance outside of my job because it was trash. This is what my amount was each check. I got paid twice a month, $16.51.19. Back in 2019, that is when I had got my first big boy job, and I was making $50,000, or I think it was around like $55,000. But my rent for a 1-bedroom apartment was $945. Now, I'm not making this up. Y'all look, y'all see, that is the same apartment complex. I want y'all to guess what the rent is. Just guess.
$2,000.
Now, I just want to point out to y'all, this was for a lease that was only 8 months. And if you know, the shorter the lease term, the more expensive it is. I was paying $945 for an 8-month lease. Today, they no longer offer an 8-month option, but even dropping it down to 11, you're still looking at $1,741 for that same 1-bedroom apartment. Now, when you look at my expenses, rent, car, and mind you, I had a nice car. This was my car. I bought a 2-year-old BMW 3 Series. Look at all of my expenses back in 2019. My total monthly expenses was $2,635. And after all the bills were paid, I still had $667 left over.
So just want to pause so people can see. So that was it. You pay your expenses. You have a little $600 left over. Now, if you have a kid, that's gone, immediately gone. So like, let's just talk about that, because they want us to have children. So that shit is out the window immediately. But he is fucking. He's like this, young, entering the job market kind of thing. I have a 50K good salary, all of that. That 600 is going to go, as Jared always says, to stimulate the economy, which is what they want you to do. If I buy a new pair of sneakers, or if I go on a trip somewhere camping with my friends, or if I like to kayak or something on the weekend, I am literally stimulating the economy with that little 600. Or maybe you do the financially responsible, literate thing and put it in a Roth IRA. Okay. So that you have retirement, because otherwise you're not going to have anything to live off of except hoping Social Security lasts. when you retire. So this is in 2019. Now this person is going to go on past their monthly expenses and their miscellaneous money. And they already said, by the way, they already put 500 in savings, which is just for a rainy day. That's for if you need your wisdom teeth pulled and you got to pony up, because that's how much it costs for each wisdom tooth, if y'all ain't aware. So here we go. Sorry, go ahead, Gigi.
I'm still trying to catch up with because I struggle with disposable income framing too, all of it, mainly because like the money that's already given to the exploited labor is disposable from the people who actually got the money, and a lot of people, like I have a good sister who PhD professor teacher at Emory, and she explicitly shares that she started, not started, but a lot of her drive to make large salary is to help her people, help her family. Like her family needed, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, who's
the Emory professor's name? Is it Dorothy Brown by chance?
No, you talking about Dorothy that wrote the Black Tax.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Okay, different one.
But
she's at Emory too. So okay.
Yeah, I didn't even know she was. I forgot. I didn't know she was at Emory. I gotta. But I think, I don't know that phrase.
Yeah, even that, you're right.
It put the onus right back on the people that we. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's a better term. Whatever income, he calls it. What does he call it here? Miscellaneous. He even calling it free money, but miscellaneous funds. Basically, whatever you don't need to like just pay your bills to survive at the base level. Whatever we want to call that. Whatever money you can use, maybe for recreation, which again is a life-sustaining function. Rest isn't revolutionary; it's just necessary. All of these things are life-sustaining. Being pro-social. We talk about all the death of third spaces and the alienation, and the kids aren't going to be all right because they're all on their iPads and they hide out and stuff. That is because, again, you need some sort of space. And when there's not that many free spaces, when they're destroying parks, when they're poisoning the water, then yes, you're going to use disposable income or whatever term we come up with to be able to buy things that you enjoy. Video games, all of these things that are also things that are recreational that people end up start seeing as entrepreneurial opportunities. It sucks. But there's so many people now, video games used to be a social experience. You go to Blockbuster, you play with your friends, you co-op. If you got a sibling, you split screen that shit, right? Now you have to be online. You have to have good Wi-Fi to do it. And then because it costs so much, everyone's trying to be a streamer. So you don't even play games by yourself. Now you got to be on Twitch and trying to make money as you play the game. Exactly, Amber. So that's my point.
I just want to play video games like normal.
Yeah. Everything has to be commodified in order to survive. So yes, miscellaneous money. Don't even call it free money because it's not. Disposable income, if that's not.
I would never call it free money. Yeah. I just think it's like, something. I really be wondering what's not accounted for. Sometimes if I have some extra money, I'd be like, what I didn't pay. And usually I didn't pay for something. Even though State Farm reminds me constantly to pay my car insurance and house insurance or whatever, and it annoys the fuck out of me, I still pay in late almost every time.
Yeah,
and I don't even be knowing what to tell them. It ain't even like on purpose.
Yeah, no, yes, we live in under capitalism. That's the point. And austerity is a core feature of fascism. So having too little to save, work hard, save hard, essentially is the only way to live. And that's what Erica points out. So some in the chat are raising things that I completely agree with. Most people do not have disposable income. As I already said, that money, you got to put it in if your car breaks down, if one of these poorly paved roads mess up your tires or whatever. So it ends up just being savings as well. In addition to that 500 or something, if a family member dies, you got to pay for funeral costs. Any of these things can immediately wipe that out. So yes, you end up saving everything. And we don't really end up having that kind of disposable income at the end of the day.
I think it's being sacrificed. Like I feel like most people who give money to something, as comfortable as they might say they are, they probably still have a mortgage. They probably have more debt than they have actual money, and they might not have to spend all of it this month, and they can sacrifice $100 or whatever to do something. But most people, Black people in particular, I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep plugging the Blackman Bill Financial Literacy Theory Thursday that we did, because Dr. Erica raises a lot of this, and she's like, well, who really got disposable income or whatever? Who really has anything left over? And that's what I'm saying. If you have kids, this is going daycare, shit, that's completely out the window. So yes, thank you. I will frame it differently, but that is the term most people are familiar with. So whatever new term we want to come up with for the income that you don't have to explicitly spend on survival and that you may spend for recreation, some other form of social reproduction, that's what I'm talking about here. And so to Jared's point, that's why I would want to do this. I want to say this is the median. I think someone asked earlier what I was talking about, median Black family income, because white families are closer to that 70K that Kevin O'Leary talked about. But again, telling on himself, right? So the median Black family income in the U.S. is currently $56,020. It's risen a little bit since the last time I checked, and it was like 52 grand. So the median income, higher white income, is closer to 72. But this is family or household income, not individual income. So if you're a single person living on your own, the government ain't gonna give you no tax money back. They don't like your ass. You better pop out some babies for the state so they can draft you into the military. So back to this. So this is this person talking about the 2019, and even then, this is not that much. So this is their expenses, and they're going to keep talking about on their good salary of $50,000, which isn't going to increase with inflation. We know how that works. They were already not making that much, not saving that much.
Or that I could blow on anything. I could take that and buy a flight. I could go hang out with friends. I can use that $667 on whatever it is that I want. Mind you, that's after I've already deducted $500 for savings. Before anyone make a comment about the light bill being so low, even today, if you look, this was my current billing period. My light bill is only $85. I have never had a high light bill. I don't know what y'all are doing to get high light bills. I never have a high light bill. Fast forward to today, if you take that same salary, that same apartment complex, you take today's average car payment, all the other bills and expenses, you're negative. You're literally negative. This is off of the same salary, $50,000. When I made that last video talking about 50K being a mama I made it salary, I was being sarcastic. I didn't mean that quite literally, but the whole point of the video was to show and explain that you could live comfortably, have a nice vehicle, and still have money left over and not be worried or paycheck to paycheck.
So that was in the past. And so again, yes, we can challenge some of the framing here, but this is the exercise I'm talking about. In fact, socialism is doing it in the context of Jared's argument, which makes it more helpful. But yes, where is the Black buying power? How is that possible? When we're already talking about a salary that is above or at the median household income for Black people, right? So if our households are in debt now, essentially negative, and I know Bank of America, if you have the app, they love to tell you deposit $43 less than you make each month. So if you're already in the negative, where is the buying power? It's impossible. So this doesn't make any sense. And so I really feel like on a personal level, because people tend to think in terms of their individual finances, that is another way that Jared can make this argument. Because when he just says broadly, Black people don't have any money, right? It makes people, well, what do you mean? And da 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 da. And there are business owners, and so they're like, think systemically. You as an individual, household income, and then also that this is the median. That means most Black people are doing this. So we have to think in terms of the average, or what Dr. Sundiata calls the modal Black experience, which is the most common. So I really appreciated that. And yeah, John Hope Bryant telling you didn't get the damn memo. Now you can tell me I absolutely got the fucking memo, because I read, I study, I know basic statistics, and I know how much money's in my pocket. So
that part, nigga.
I had that part too, off camera. Good old John. I know you had some more thoughts, Geechee. Is there anything? I'm sorry if
no, I mean, no, that's it. I think those conversations are. I don't know. I just think sometimes people are even what the brother was saying, it was a lot of like, well, you could do this and that. It's just like you don't really know people's situation. Like you don't know if private public utilities, if it's private utilities and they jacking up your bills, whatever, the data centers next to you. Like there's multiple reasons. Your home ain't sealed right way, so you got to pump your heat more hot. Like, I mean, it's just like I don't
Yeah.
like whenever they do these. I guess, and then somebody said something about what city you at, but I guess whenever you do these things, it's probably important to be like, this is my sample size. This is what I'm saying. This is where I'm from. This is where I live. Boom, boom, boom. Like, cause you could be in another city and Georgia Power. Jeezy said it's hard to be drug free when Georgia Power won't give a niggas lights free. So with West Side Atlanta, like,
Yeah,
you're a little bit high on the West Side.
yeah.
No, because they be with the shit. Like they won't even. When I was getting power at my house, they told me I had to pay a $400 down deposit because when I had an apartment 10 years ago, I defaulted or had like a balance of $64 after I moved out of my apartment. And it lasted for like 1 month. And they sent me an email and I paid it. But it was like, because I had that one defaulted balance, I had to pay a $400 deposit. And I said, y'all do this to everybody? And they was like, yeah, if they have a defaulted balance. I said, how many people have a defaulted balance? She was like, most people. I said, what the fuck? But I didn't have $400. So I was like, what I'm going to do? And she said, well, I can spread it over for 4 payments for you. And I was like, okay, this still some bullshit.
Amber, thank you for bringing that up. So what Jared, and if you read David Harvey's Neoliberalism, that's the point. But Jared talks about this with buying power and where it even comes from in the first place. It's so capitalists know just how much they can milk you for. They need to know just how much they can squeeze you for. And during the neoliberal term, when we hopped off the gold standard and all of those things, what we saw was capitalism's dying a heat death. The workers literally don't have enough money to spend to buy the products in the economy, so they unleash credit. So that's what we talk about in the thing where the FICO score comes from, where it originates, all of those things. Credit was unleashed because consumers literally do not have enough money to buy stuff on the day-to-day. And now we're seeing, again, as capitalism dying a heat death, because they're not raising wages and they're trying to milk profits, well, now it's paying for. Now it's Klarna, and we'll see if you're pre-approved to pay it for. And it's paying for groceries. So, like, come on.
You're a teacher, and you got skills in teaching. So I wonder if
teach the people.
This analogy I be trying to use, but I don't know if it works. But you have a landowner who has cattle, right? And then you have a store owner, and they sell sandwiches and stuff like that. And they probably get their meat butchered, and they got a bodega with a deli, and you are a customer who probably either work for the landowner or you probably work for somebody, and you gotta come buy your sandwich from this person. Why are we saying buying power in the same sense? Like, who got the most power in this situation? Like, is it the landowner with all the meats and phrasing, or is the store who can sell the chopped up meats, or is it the person who can take their little piece of money and buy something? Like, why is that even me calling? And go back to Jared's point and how it was used. Why would that even be? Why is you even mentioning buying and power in the same sentence? Like, is that a good analogy to even break the concept of buying power?
Absolutely. And that's, again, with Dr. Erica's work on financial literacy, even that term. It used to be called household finance, right? Which is a more accurate description of what it is. So, yeah, I would have the students, think through that. That's a great exercise. Who has the power in the situation? Why are they calling it buying power? Who does that serve? The same way Kevin O'Leary framed it as, like, I can't stand how the millennials are paying all this money. Like, okay, let's do an exercise. How much money do you have? How much money does Kevin O'Leary have?
Right.
Who has the power? Kevin O'Leary owns the restaurants. And I think the historical ties is always the only thing I love to add to it. So, like, you have some unique conditions, yes, in your time and place, but let's go back in time. Let's talk about the factory towns and Rockefeller and how he owned the damn grocery store you went to. He owned the hospital you had to get serviced at where you were bored at. He owned the public transportation, he owned the transportation, the cars you had to buy, and he owned the factory where you worked at. Who has the power here? And he didn't even, some of the times, he wasn't even paying you in money. He was paying you in like funny bucks. And so that was a really good example, because in Orlando, the number one employer is Disney World. And if you've been to Orlando, it's weird. It kind of looks like a knockoff Vegas in a lot of ways. But Disney is the number one employer, so they control the wages. Disney, or at least the financial conglomerates involved in Disney, own a lot of housing in the area. Right, Jeff Bezos, for example, is a capitalist who owns like Whole Foods and shit. So they invested in grocery stores. So it looks a little different. They might have more games in the arcade to distract you. But I like to point out, like, it's very similar to a factory town. They just have more bells and whistles and shell game ways to distract you from the fact that they still own the medical system, the education system, the recreation in the area, and then they're the employer. So that's how I do it. But I think you're on the right track.
This one is time for me to log off the internet, right? Ashley Knuckles said, I heard someone recently use streaming power to promote a boycott of Netflix because we is desperate, bro. We just call it everything power.
People just be doing shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the framing, right? I will say, again, the reason why it's so important to embed the revolutionary element in this discussion is Jackie was just discussing on Remix the other day going to Venezuela and talking about how they have access to land and how because of the socialist revolution, they were able to get land, not socialism like the whiteys do it in Scandinavia, actual people-powered socialism. And they were talking about electricity, and she was talking about her electricity bill, and they were like, that's crazy. My electricity bill is way lower than that. So the fact that in the socialist economy, they're buying power isn't going towards spending money on an electric bill, which is owned by a company, already goes to speak to what we actually have to move toward, which is socialism, communism, revolution. And I think what I loved the most about that is that it's an actual real life example that people can see an alternative of. Because so many times the reason people are just presenting this framework of streaming power is that's the only thing they know. That's capitalism, Tina. There is no other alternative. That's what neoliberalism was about. So you can only think of these things and it becomes your reality. Quick point, I need to see, we got a super chat, more movie money for the people. I used to think, and you said Georgia Power and Light, so I thought Florida Power and Light was a government agency as a kid. I had no idea. That was one of my first, communist awakenings. I was like, wait, you mean a private company, one private company controls all the electricity for the state? How does that make any sense? And then when we have hurricanes down here and people lose power, how do you hold them accountable? The state has to come in and basically act like, okay, well, we can get them to do their jobs and we can figure it out. But I was like, I was told we don't have monopolies in this country. I was told that it's a land of freedom. So why can one private company control electricity for the entire state?
Listen, this is how I feel about white boys' ability to measure stuff. When they talk about GDP or buying power, this is how they sound.
How fast can you run?
45 pounds.
Are you actually fucking kidding me? What?
They run 45 pounds.
It don't make no sense. So don't answer the question like y'all at the beginning. Yeah, answering the question that's being asked.
45 pounds. That's how fast.
Yeah, it doesn't answer the question at all, unfortunately. We got a super chat though. I want to thank the chat. Thanks, ZZ Lion Dad. Taxes, Fed 22%, state tax 7%, Social Security 6%, 401k match if you have that, 6% health insurance if you have that, 4%, total of 45%. That's not including car insurance, mortgage, or rent. That's another 10%. Those taxes and interest are a must to survive. And of course, they go to bombing children in Palestine and Iran. And so again, with the reparations discourse, the discussion around, even it's usually non-Black people who have this issue, but some of our people as well with reparations. How are we going to pay for it? Bro, the government is going to spend $1 trillion on war. They have the money. And another thing, if anyone, because I love the debate in the right-wing talking points, if everyone wants to talk about how much of the U.S. budget goes to the military, so a conservative person will, if you say like most of our money goes to the military, they'll tell you that, well, no, it's actually only 4% if it's mandatory spending or something like that. That is, it's only 4%. That's what they'll usually say. It's actually only 4% of the U.S. federal budget that goes to the military, something low like that. That's only if you talk about mandatory spending. So if you're including Social Security and the literal shit the U.S. has to do to make the country run, the basic shit that is forced on the U.S. to do, then yes, it's only 4%. When you talk about, again, that real term discretionary and how it should be used, disposable income in terms of the U.S. economy, where all these taxes go, no, actually a giant chunk of that goes toward the military. I think 27% of the U.S. federal budget, and there's actually probably more. I think it could be as high as I'm trying to say like
it's a lot,
up to 50%. How much discretionary budget military spending? Let's see some quick math here. Let's see.
45 pounds.
80. It's 839.2 billion. Let's see how much that is a percent. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. So, in terms of not literally the money that the U.S. has to spend so that poor people aren't dying in the streets at a higher rate than they already are. With discretionary spending, national defense accounts for 48 to 52% of all discretionary spending. And then you can just lower this to the municipal level, the state level, where we talk about the money spent on police, where it also ends up being about 50% of the damn budget. So there you go. That's where all your money, that's where all the reparations money, that's where all the social services money, it goes to imperialism. As we say, imperialism is, of course, the primary contradiction. So that's why you don't have roads and schools and child
none
care.
of the shit we need.
There you go. 50% of your money is going to some oil tanker somewhere where people are going to sit in the middle of the ocean and do nothing. Scrub. What was Jared talking about? He was a cook and he was scrubbing floors and shit. That's what he did. Instead of helping his community, instead of having a service corps that actually goes among the people, he got to sit on a boat somewhere so he could have some free health care and go to school. So U.S. imperialism in a nutshell. All right. I see. Oh, okay, cool. I like this, Amber, this story. So you want to introduce the next one?
Sure. It's Origins of the Modern Zombie Concept. I don't know who picked the story, but it sounded cool. I like the apocalypse idea, so I clicked it.
I found it last week because I hate my Haitians. Gotta always shout out my Haitian people. So check this out. Origin of zombies
were actually made up by owners of sugar plantations who would say that as a way to stop slaves from killing themselves because the conditions were so horrible. They told them, if you kill yourself, we will turn you into a zombie and you will be forced to work the sugar plantation for all eternity as a zombie. Whereas if you just work this sugar plantation like you're supposed to and then you die, you might go to heaven. So don't you dare kill yourself. Zombies were actually made up by owners of sugar plantations who would say that as a way to stop slaves from killing themselves because the conditions were so horrible.
Sorry, I got a really good workaround for that one.
Mm-hmm.
Kill your masters.
Well, the Haitians eventually figured that out.
Well, so that way, you can make them zombies, nigga. What?
Remember back in the review crew, my critique of Sinners was that I was like, of all the supernatural shit, vampires is like the most European whatever. Like zombies is a lot more interesting. Now, what people would talk about is that there were African spiritualities that had these beliefs in being visited by the dead. And so what Europeans were doing, and we talk about this Black atheist tradition, is exploiting preconceived notions of
they already had.
Right, that we already had. So they're exploiting them, they're perverting them, they're using them for those ends. That's why I would say it's cool to have the myth and the superstition and to understand it as a myth or a superstition. But if you believe it as true reality, then your masters can exploit that to exploit you. So it was taking on previous African spiritualities. But that's why I was like, Sinners, I think a zombie movie around slavery where the answer is kill your masters would have been a lot more enticing than another vampire movie in Hollywood. But, to each their own.
That's the progressive suicide there. So it's like if you outnumbered, that's the only way you can get up out of it. Either you're gonna put them in the dirt or they're gonna put you in the dirt, and either way you gonna be out either way.
Right. If you die, because the question thing is, that's an interesting question. I'm sure again they probably figured this out. So okay, wait a minute. If I die on the plantation working, y'all gonna bring me back to work again. What if I die trying to kill you? Do I come back trying to kill your ass again? Because that would be my immediate question. I'm like, wait a minute. So that's how I think the seeds of liberation theology can come from that.
That's funny.
Where the zombie
This is funny as hell. What we thought sinners was going to be versus what we got.
And talk about the diaspora in African American history. We have the Haints. That was something that my grandma used to talk about, told my dad about. So we also have very similar things that I also think aren't explored in popular media. This idea of not zombies, but like spirits revisiting you, or possession in that way from ancestors, which I think is also pretty cool. So Haints, zombies, I think all of these are more African-centered, supernatural kind of horror films that we could do in the future. Because we know.
True. But I think that's an interesting concept. They would tell people that. I feel like being a zombie probably be fun.
They don't have to eat the same. I don't think you gotta. Do you gotta sleep anymore? You gotta eat. You gotta sleep.
What are you even doing?
Haunt niggas all day.
Scaring the shit out of people. I would like that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think the only time that I watch, what's that? The Walking Dead, right? That's a zombie joint.
Yeah.
I remember watching it after people kept telling me to watch. I was like, I'm not watching that shit. But then when I watch it, I guess I looked at it a different way. The zombies are all moving in a particular way, and there's people who are alive. That would be equivalent to, like, I guess how propagandized people would be. Like, most people are moving like robots or zombies. That's kind of how I was looking at it. I wasn't really into the movie. I was like, God damn, everybody getting bit. And sometimes you don't even know who's real, who's a zombie, who's real.
I got into a big debate with my friends about this, because in the first season they try and go to the CDC, and the CDC is basically destroying. They're like, there ain't no cure. So, and then some of the people stay behind the CDC and get blown up. Because they're like, fuck it, I ain't doing this. So I was like, yo, I ain't doing this. Like, I'm staying behind. I'm getting blown up. I'm out of here. And my friend's like, no, you wouldn't stay and fight. I'm like, fuck that. What? There ain't no cure. Like, we stuck in this forever. Hell no. But, respect to the people who want to live on. I'm curious, y'all trying to stick around for the zombie apocalypse and live the rest of your life fighting to not get bit? Or y'all taking the explodey way out like me?
I don't know. It depends. It depends.
I would probably try to fight.
Depends if they got vegan food on the other side.
Shout out to y'all for keeping it going. Hell no.
I mean, I don't want to give up too easy.
That ain't easy. When they fought, they made it to the CDC. The CDC was like, "Oh fuck," and that was it. I'm like,
I would be sad. I was like, no, I need to fight just a little tiny bit, like it's a little pushback.
I am legend. I am about to be my kids out here dying. I have to be walking out here with no damn dog as my best friend. It's just you and Mac. It's just you and Mac, Amber. That's it. And no more harem.
And what's wrong with that?
No more community. No more Memphis. No more liquor music. You got you and Mac, and every day y'all patrol.
That's fine.
You're a dog person. That's what it is. Hell no.
It works for me.
I'm going crazy.
So I saw this Samsung chip striking situation here. So Samsung chip workers vote to accept 340,000 average bonus, ending months-long strike threat.
Threats. Okay.
So I mean, I just think this is, we ain't even got to finish reading if we just sit right there with those little few words.
Right.
Look at all that buying power, Geechee.
What the fuck?
So Samsung Electronics' largest union has ratified a compensation deal with, I'm just throwing words in, deal that will pay semiconductor workers an average bonus of roughly 340,000, according to Bloomberg. About 74% of the union members voted in favor of the agreement, which was first reached last week, just 90 minutes before an 18-day That's interesting. 18-day. They already knew they was going to strike for 18 days. But I don't know who said that. Was to begin at the world's largest memory chip maker. But the deal
they do be telling them ahead of time. They like send them a notice of intent to strike.
Yeah, but I don't know what the day. I mean, I think that anyway, yeah. So there's some what I kind of read, there was like some deeper internal conflict, but the couple issues is 85% of the payout is stock option. So they're not really getting cash. And so eventually, and they gotta sign a 10-year agreement not to strike again. But once they get to that point, they're gonna be owners, so they're gonna be thinking like, well, if I strike, it's gonna fuck up my owner check. And so
that's a scam. That 401k invested in the stock market is such a scam. Give me the cash. What are we doing?
Immediately. I can invest in my own shit. I got this.
That is another worker scam that they do. Oh, you got to put it in stock options. Hell no. Because then again, they know that I can leave. They know that with the workers. If I don't get this in stocks, I get this in cash, and y'all want to fuck around.
That part.
I'm gonna put my buying power. I'm gonna go spend that shit in China.
Also, it's broken up into different divisions. So some divisions getting lower than that. Like some of them, that payout ain't gonna be nothing but like $4,000.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But so this is you talk about the educator exercise. One game we do, and I started this back when I was organizing NYC, is capitalist or not game, where we talk about different people and we have slides up and we show them as like, this is a capitalist or this is a worker. And so we use Jay-Z, like 1990 Jay-Z, when he was still, making music or whatnot. And we compare him to, 2015 Jay-Z. And talk about how you can actually change from a capitalist to a worker. But one of the things that gets people a little confused is when we give we start with easy examples, classics, and then we move to like, you own a barbershop in the neighborhood, for example, where you work every week. Are you a capitalist or a worker? And so that's where, because that's where people are like, well, I own a business, so I'm a capitalist. We see our people who fall for that trap all the time. They're like, bro, you working 60 hours a week, cutting hair. Yes, you have capitalist-like relations, but you are not a capitalist. You do not own the means of production, I promise. So we have some of those harder examples. And one of the ones we get into is like, people can see with NBA players. So we put like Kemba Walker up and he has like a $8 million salary or something like that. It's like, is this a capitalist or a worker? It's a worker. Sells his labor power. If he can't play basketball, he don't get paid. Whereas the owner of the Hornets is a capitalist. One thing, though, it's interesting when we show like a plastic surgeon, I said, who makes $900K a year, people still get a little slipped up a little bit. They're like, well, they're making a lot of money and blah, 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 and they might have stock options and all of that. Are they capitalists? And we're like, no, it's the same thing. Labor power. They're selling their labor power to make a profit. Now, is the labor power inflated? Is it an artificial scarcity around doctors so that they get that much money? Yes, we could talk about all those things. But the reason why I'm so adamant about that example is exploitation in the Marxist framework is just about the capitalists making profit off of your labor. So it doesn't have to be that you're struggling and poor. That tends to be the mass majority of workers under capitalism for it to function. But I like to show this with like programmers. I'm like, okay, if they're paying you, even with the NBA players are another example. They're paying you millions of dollars. How much money do you think they're making that they can afford to pay you that? So you're still being exploited, just at a different level. You don't have that same survival issue, but the capitalists would only pay you that much money if they're getting 10 times that on the back end. So that is the thing. And that's why they have limited class consciousness at that salary. Because they're like, well, I can buy all the things that I need to survive. Yeah, you're buying them from the capitalists, though. That Ferrari you bought is making somebody who's way richer than you wealthier. So that's the thing. And a lot of our Black capitalists, as we talked about last week, are people who don't get control of the means of production. I think Diallo talks about this all the time. That was it Byron Allen? It was somebody who he tried to buy a telecommunications company, and the white people were like, hell no. So as a consolation prize, he bought the most expensive house in America. The one we're talking about, Tony Stark, Iron Man's character has that house in the first few movies. And so they'll let you buy all the tickets in the arcade. They'll let you use all your tickets and buy all the fun stuff in the arcade, but they ain't gonna let you own the machine. So same thing with these strikers. I'm sure they probably think that's a lot of money. Again, given to you in stock options, you're already getting ripped off. And then if they can afford to pay you that means that they know those chips, which run the economy right now, which all these imperialist nations are fighting over, which we talked about the Congo, those chips must be worth a lot of money. There must be some real power in them chips. So think about that a lot. But shout out, I guess, the workers getting something.
They're talking about Byron Allen in the comments. Y'all are funny.
Yeah, he's y'all cover him. EYL. Interesting guy. But I think about that a lot. All the capitalists buy stuff, and then the way the media works is they get celebrated for the buy. So I'm sure in terms of your ego, like a bunch of news outlets covering you and saying, look, this black man bought all this money, that's how it gets put on us, the petty bourgeois nationalism and all that. But if you actually know the game, which I think they do at that level of wealth and income, as the capitalist level, I think that's when they understand, like, actually, I'm kind of getting played. Actually, these white boys, and that becomes their whole complex. Like, these white capitalists, they get away with everything. Why can't I? Why can't I do that? Why can't I actually get control of a hedge fund or whatever? So same way they using that, brother. Y'all seen the Red Lobster CEO, dude? It's a young black man. I'll show you the thing that's been going around. It's a young black man who is turning Red Lobster around. He's the new CEO, and he's the reason the company's not.
Come on, Calvin got a job.
The African nigga, and I ain't been since I ain't been to Red Lobster in years, but I definitely ain't been just because he's the CEO. I said that still ain't going.
Exactly, empathy, class consciousness. What the fuck? And Beyonce telling us go to Red Lobster, brought the stock up. Demola Adamalekum is the CEO of Red Lobster, taking the helm of the iconic food chain. At 36-year-old, the Nigerian-American executive made history as the youngest CEO in the company's legacy and his first black chief executive, first blacks. Anyway, what did he do to revitalize the business? All these great capitalist innovations. George Washington Carver fucking saving the Southern economy with $1 million inventions for a peanut. But okay, this guy did great things like improving the menu.
Oh, I think
modernizing operations and re-engaging customers. Okay,
so. I found a video of him.
Cool, we can show that. And again, to show how the news media works. If you go to news, this is how capitalism works, right? So it's going to show this person. He's not independent. He's not working for the black community. He works for the corporation. He makes the wealthy capitalist money. And it's going on. Endless ship was Red Lobster. Now it's clawing back. 5 things to know about the young, gifted, and black. Looking from the grill, CEO. So this is the thing. It could be reviving a black dining tradition. Red Lobster is a black dining tradition, y'all. Y'all ain't know?
Beyonce made it black. You didn't know? Wake up.
Petty bourgeois influence, the black bourgeoisie.
I have never heard that.
Yep. I mean,
black dining tradition is actually crazy, bro.
But it's not a tradition. I like Outback Steak. My family eats at Outback Steakhouse. I ain't a black tradition. It's just
Applebee's used to be a black tradition.
I like Outback too. I be getting that salmon. They got this salmon.
I be getting that
salmon and broccoli.
The blooming onion, baby.
I don't be getting the blooming onion. I actually just only buy the salmon. I've actually never had anything else there other than a salad, the salmon, and some broccoli. And the bread. I be eating the chocolate bread with the honey butter.
No, Kichi.
Need that.
Go ahead, Kichi, play that. Yes, the biscuits always be fine.
There's this new dude, the new dude at Red Lobster. Yeah.
Hey, isn't that Calvin? I haven't seen him for a while. Wonder where he's heading. I heard he got a job. Is that right? Well, it's about time he got himself together. Now that you mention it, there is something different about him. Just goes to show you can't judge a book by its cover. Looks like responsibility's been good for him. Well, I'm just glad somebody believed in him enough to give him a chance. Wonder where he's working.
Welcome to McDonald's. May I help you?
What's up, Jake? What up? Where's Calvin? At the J.O.B., man. What? He's still flipping those burgers at Mickey D's? Here's your order.
Thanks, Calvin.
He's not tired of that yet.
Calvin.
He's kicking it with us, having big fun. He says he has a plan, man.
Meet the newest member of our management team, Calvin.
Congratulations.
He's having big fun in Delaware with donuts.
That's that Red Lobster dude, man. Good shout out to the man working at
That
Red
is
Lobster.
the Red Lobster dude. You didn't get my reference, Geechee?
No.
Bro.
There is this episode of the Cosby Show when the daughter Vanessa, she went to Delaware and she was like, we was looking for you and you having big fun in Delaware with donuts.
Oh no, I ain't know that. I know that one.
The targeted propaganda. I mean, it's sad.
You're old.
This is, but we grew up watching this. Like, this is the 90s. No way. Like, again,
I actually never even saw that episode of the Cosby Show. I only know that scene from TikTok. I don't even know what actually happened or why she was in Delaware, but I did redo the scene on TikTok when I was in my early lip syncing days of just doing fun shit on TikTok. But then they said big fun on that video Geechee showed. It made me think about it.
You see the two twin girls who always do those. Well, not twins. They're actually not twins at all. What am I saying?
They're not twins. They're students. They're students at Howard. They just graduated, but they're not twins. And they don't even look like twins.
They don't look, I was thinking fraternal because I thought they were sisters. They're just roommates. I fixed it immediately.
They were literally just roommates who met each other and was cool.
Yeah, completely.
I said, I love that for them. They made a little coin in college.
I was probably thinking of our 90s stuff, sister, all of that. But like that's very 90s coded, Geechee. Like I love the ad. It's funny as hell. But it's 100% what we grew up watching. And McDonald's, again, not a black fat dining tradition. But yes, a lot of our people eat McDonald's. They drop McDonald's in our neighborhoods. McDonald's employs our folks because that's jobs that are available. And in the 90s, when African Americans were carrying pop culture, and not saying that as a good thing, by the way, although some people try and make it that way. That was the shit. Like I remember getting the Hercules dish plate and toys and stuff when they used to give out toys and Happy Meals. I remember when they used to have playgrounds that she would go to in the McDonald's. Some of them still have them, but most of them have gotten rid of that shit, lawsuits and all that. But yeah, me and my family used to be playing in the little ball pit and the jungle gym and all that shit at the McDonald's. It's just how it was in the 90s. So having at the donut shop. What that made me think of, Geechee, was this article that I really appreciated back in the day. It was, I was a fast food worker. Let me tell you about burnout. As technology ratchets up. Added to the what?
Oh, it wasn't added.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, no, it just made me think of this article I read a while back.
Yeah.
And I used to use this as like part of the readings for folks who were asking about how do I, study and all that. It was one of my go-tos. So I was a fast food worker. Let me tell you about burnout. As technology ratchets up the stress, low-wage jobs have become some of the hardest in America. So even a McDonald's job in the 90s, which it wasn't like that. We already know. It was crazy work. It was exploitative conditions. Our people have been doing that kind of labor for a long time. But technology is not making our lives easier. It's making them a lot more exploited in these conditions. So the only thing I really wanted to mention, so this was someone who talks about their time working as a fast food worker, the kind of lack of worker protections, the daily abuses, the assault that people have when they have shit thrown at them by customers and all of that kind of stuff. But I think the average age, that's what I wanted to talk about. So Paul Ryan, all these capitalists and these imperialists again try and sell this narrative of, well, a burger job is just for you in high school, and then I went to college and I got the American dream, all that bullshit that we just talked about, why it's not true. When Paul Ryan worked at McDonald's in the 80s, he might have been a representative of a largely teenage sea of fast food workers, a perception that persists today. Why does it persist? Because of psychological warfare through advertising, because of what Geechee just showed you, of that brother not going to hang with his friends on the block. Yeah, he did that shit. Yeah, he did that shit, went to fucking work for McDonald's. But going to McDonald's, so that's how they advertise it. That's how they sell you the dream. But dreams are not reality. So last time the National Employment Law Project checked, the average age of fast food workers was 29, and more than a quarter of workers were supporting a child. So that was just a statistic I wanted to bring up here that always breaks the narrative that it's just a bunch of teenagers on minimum wage. No, these are people who need to be employed for a living. That is why they are trying to raise the salaries. If you go to some places of McDonald's workers, they might have like $17 an hour. And then what you saw, the brother was put on a management track. So the idea is that you're going to work your way up to be assistant manager and then manager. But again, just think of how capitalism works. Not everyone can be a manager. That's obvious. right? So clearly there are going to be people who are always exploited at a higher rate and cannot survive on the salary that McDonald's pays you. And then there are going to be those who get to climb out a little bit, just enough that they're assistant managers and they have a little bit more leeway. And they get that because they make the system run. They make sure that the people at the bottom are still getting exploited more. So it's a system that goes back to the plantation with overseers, things of that nature. So fast food working, McDonald's, Mickey D's, Black dining traditions. But yeah, the cheddar biscuits are good. I'll give them that. But you can make them at home. TikTok then showed us all the.
I don't think I've had those biscuits in like 12 years. I haven't been to Red Lobster since I was like in high school.
The last time I went was they actually were selling lobster. Like you can buy some lobster there, but no, they had like a lobster special. I love lobster rolls. Red Lobster does not have lobster rolls, which is bizarre. But weird. They had them for a special for a little bit, and they were good as fuck. So that was the last time I hit Red Lobster. It was like I think a year and a half ago or something. But I had a story that I wanted to close us out on that we didn't get to cover last week, but I think was particularly important going on in Florida. So one thing I want to shout out, as Amber said earlier, getting your news from the corporate media is never going to get you there. So right now, the Miami Herald, the State Department's mouthpiece down here, is running all sorts of propaganda and lies about this indictment against Raul Castro. Raul Castro, who is Fidel Castro's brother, is in his 90s and lives in Cuba. And because they're trying to take over, they went and kidnapped Maduro and Cilia. They are imperializing Haiti, and they want to destroy Cuba. So the Gusanos are saying that they aren't getting their way, that they've already starved Cuba, they've already put blackouts all over the island, and they still want a ground invasion. They still want to break the Cuban people. And so breaking, Trump DOJ indicts Raul Castro. So I want to cover this story a little bit. We can even see the video. Let's see if we can find it of, let's see if I can find this one, sorry, of the state attorney saying that they're indicting him. How are you going to get him? Don't worry about it. So here we go. DOJ indicts Raul Castro. I will talk a bit about where this is, but the U.S. DOJ has unsealed an indictment of former Cuban President Raul Castro, now 94 years old, along with other Cuban officials over the 1996 shoot down. So I'm sorry.
You playing something? Hey, Lord.
It's not sharing? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm on the wrong tab.
Oh,
yeah. No,
it's sharing the graphic. I don't hear anything.
Yeah, it kept clicking out too. My bad. I didn't figure I was on the video yet. My mistake.
You gotta take the mute off the off that window. Unmute the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You see it at the bottom, Lord?
It's still muted? It's playing on my screen.
At the bottom, for some reason, it's muted for us. It says mute.
Yeah.
Weird. Hang on.
They aren't.
Oh, okay. Try sharing your screen again. My mistake. Okay. Let's try one more time. Sorry. Okay. Boom. I'll try and refresh. Let me know if it works.
Yeah.
Evidence that leads you to believe that Raul Castro directly participated in the deaths of those Americans who were killed. And I have a follow-up.
Well, I cannot explain or justify why now as opposed to 2 decades ago or 30 years ago when it happened. As far as what the evidence is, well, a lot of it's in the indictment, and it would not be appropriate or fair to comment outside of the indictment about the evidence. But as you guys know, a grand jury is presented with evidence and then returns an indictment to the extent that they believe there's probable cause that a crime has been committed, which a grand jury certainly did here.
What are the prospects that you could get Raul Castro to the United States to face justice, given the situation there? And what steps are the U.S. willing to take to get him back here?
Well, we indict men outside of this country all the time. And there's all kinds of different ways that we get them here. The reason why we indict somebody is because we want them here to face justice in front of a jury of their peers. So,
the jury of their peers. What the fuck are you talking?
How we go about doing that?
I think start clapping loud as hell.
And I'm not going to go beyond that, but we expect that we didn't indict. This isn't a show indictment. This is an indictment because we expect that there was a warrant issued for his arrest. So we expect that he will show up here by his own will or by another way and go to prison.
Now, get into the indictment in a second. I want to set the stage for y'all. So that happens at the Freedom Tower, which is in downtown Miami. Currently, next to the Freedom Tower, there's a parking lot where I used to work that was owned by Miami-Dade College, and it has now been sold to Trump for his Trump Presidential Library, which is essentially going to be a casino and a hotel with maybe a library in it somewhere, right? And that property is worth, because of downtown development, anywhere from 60 million just on its own to 380 million when it's fully developed, right? Because it's prime real estate. It's right by what was the American Airlines Arena, now the Casilla Center where the Heat played. The people you hear clapping are the people who were planted there. First off, it's very inaccessible. If you ask most black people in Miami, have you been to the Freedom Tower? The answer is no. Most people don't go in that area of Miami. Just like Will Smith's Miami is Miami Beach, and most black people don't live in Miami Beach. So getting in there is already an issue. With my former employment, I was allowed in there when Ron DeSantis announced that they were putting $25 million into it for the Victims of Communism Memorial Fund. Now there's a Victims of Communism Day that is required instruction in public schools throughout Florida. And the president and vice president of Miami-Dade College are in bed with these people. It's a long play for power. When we talk about how white people build power, her father was part of the Bay of Pigs invasion, right? So they've been trying to go in and snatch these people out of power, just like they did in Venezuela for a very long time. And they're trying to justify a ground invasion because, as you know, with the Bay of Pigs, them crackers went in there and Kennedy was like, yeah, JK, and left them out there to fry because he wasn't trying to go to war with the Soviet Union. So that's some of the context behind the Freedom Tower. That's why you hear people there planted. Another thing I like to point out is the mural they stand in front of. And they specifically, I'm almost positive the way they arranged this is so that the flag is in position in front of what the mural actually is. So as I said, $25 million of state money, our money, being put to the Victims of Communism bullshit. But there's also a lot of dark money that flows through there. Jeff Bezos, whose father, Miguel Bezos, not his biological father, his stepfather, was brought over by the CIA and the Catholic Welfare Bureau, Catholic Church in Cuba, through Operation Peter Pan, is, like I said, that's Jeff Bezos' stepfather, or adopted father, Miguel Bezos. And so that's where Jeff Bezos, the richest man on earth, is influenced from. His dad is literally a fucking CIA asset, right? This dude is part of the Bezos Family Foundation, and they gave money to the Freedom Tower as well. And though they are not announced on the bottom floor, it's all these veterans of the Bay of Pigs and all these History of Miami museums, things that fake themselves as historical institutions. There's an entire wing dedicated to SOS Cuba, dedicated to the false flag operations in Venezuela. The only Haitians that get to exist are through culture and art. We're black and white photos basically in there as black people. We don't exist other than to make music in Miami. That's our only contribution, apparently. And FIFA, the World Cup, which is coming to Miami in June, has an entire exhibit in the Freedom Tower Museum. So why are they not on the bottom floor announced as one of the sponsors of this? Amazon and Jeff Bezos and FIFA are sponsoring the Freedom Tower along with the Victims of Communism Memorial Fund. But it makes it look like it's a historic site in the museum. So I just wanted to outline that to show y'all so y'all can see what this mural is, because this is an old building and they're proud of this stuff. So don't get it wrong. They wouldn't even care if I told you about it.
They be proud of the dumbest shit.
this is the mural. So you see it. It's kind of hard to see here. I'm going to see if I can zoom a little bit so you can see. But it's a terra nullius. It's literally manifest destiny. It's an ode to European colonialism. That's the mural that they're standing in front of.
That's wild.
That is wild. That is what he said. If you go on, there's literally white naked women and colonial ship crusader ships on the bottom. Like, it is pure manifest destiny. There's colonizers. You see them over there, right? And so what I like to point out is what you see here, the stealth history that they like to talk about. And of course, I've trolled the museum tour guides about this because even they aren't that aware of the history. But if you look closely, you can see this right here. This is the dedication in the middle of the mural. And so what you'll usually see is a US flag right over this indigenous person right here. This poem, this disgusting poem, is an indigenous person singing praises to Ponce de Leon. And so if you look closely on the second line here, you can see it says, "O gallant de Leon." It is literally a native person praising their colonizer. And that is what they stand in front of at the Freedom Tower. And that is where they deliver all these addresses. And so that is the stage they set for Raul Castro. And I have pictures of this because, again, I used to work in this building. So get to see all of these things up close and personal. And most Black people, as I mentioned, will never see this, never go here. But organizing field trips, community organizers, or anyone in Miami, if you're interested in that, educators, highly, highly recommend doing that with this kind of history. So with that being said, just quickly, Raul Castro, let's talk about it. So the Trump DOJ indicts Raul, Belly of the Beast Cuba, shout out, great reporting. Todd Blanche unsealed an indictment against former President Raul Castro for his alleged involvement in the 1996 shoot-down of 2 aircraft off Cuban shores. This is the latest escalation in Trump's push for regime change in Cuba, and they want to, of course, set the stage for a ground invasion again. The indictment was announced at Miami's Freedom Tower, which y'all just don't want a bit of history about. Once home to the Cuban Assistance Center, again, the CIA bringing over what would be the new white ruling class through Operation Peter Pan. Now a stage for hardline political theater, always a stage for hardline political theater. In 2018, then National Security Advisor John Bolton delivered a speech there labeling Cuba as part of the Troika of tyranny. Blanche was joined by Florida Attorney General James Utenmeyer and Jason A. Redling Quinones, U.S. Attorney for the South District of Florida. This isn't the first time Miami prosecutors have targeted Raul. In 1993, they drafted an indictment accusing him of smuggling Colombian cocaine through Cuba, which they did here, like Narco Rubio's brother. Anyway, the 1996 downing of 2 Cessnas belonging to the Miami-based group Brothers to the Rescue was not a contextless act. So they're going to paint them as innocent American pilots who happen to just be flying over Cuba and trying to help people free the evil communist regime. And there are a lot of journalists, progressive journalists down here who have fallen for this bullshit. It followed repeating.
And they said a Cessna, right?
Yes. Cessna.
Yeah, those little so one of my homeboys got I played baseball with him. Him and his dad was flying and they crashed, but like I think that has something to. So
wow.
Did they do that? Did they do that because that's that's a personal plane and it wouldn't be a military action?
Yes. So in the exhibit in the Freedom Tower, of course, they don't talk about the segregation and the horrid conditions under which Black people in Overtown, formerly Colored Town, were forced to build that building. In fact, they kind of paper over it and act like it was an integrated workforce. But that was originally the Miami News paper station. That's where they published news. And then it eventually became this place for the Cuban refugees. And in there, the way they tell the story is Father Brian O. Walsh of the Catholic Welfare Bureau, because we know the Catholic Church is known for taking care of young children, was part of it along with the U.S. State Department. They do not mention the CIA at all in that exhibit. Anyway, even though the people who were involved were directly CIA tied, some of them went to work for the CIA or are currently CIA assets. And so it followed repeated provocations, incursions, numerous warnings, and the U.S. government's refusal to restrain an extremist group openly seeking confrontation, which is exactly the same thing as the Bay of Pigs. So yes, Geechee, these people were likely either working with the state or they are like the Klan or other extrajudicial terrorist forces, white supremacist forces that the state condones and turns the other cheek to. So let's see what these innocent pilots were doing. Brothers to the Rescue began flying search and rescue missions for Cuba rafters in 1991. But after 1994, its pilots were routinely violating Cuban airspace, dropping anti-government leaflets over Havana. Washington State Department is aware of this. There is a cable from a State Department official which says, he's laughing and says, we know the CIA doesn't do international law. So again, just like Guantanamo, which is an illegal base off the coast of Cuba that Che Guevara complained about in 1964, these people are not innocent. They are literally counter-revolutionary insurgents trying to take over the island. And the island, which has its own sovereign airspace that the U.S. routinely violates, is like, no, you cannot drop CIA pamphlets to our people. Like, what are you doing? So they continue to fly. U.S. officials knew the risk. Cuba issued diplomatic cables. There's records of this. Again, I tried to give it to these progressive infotainers and journalists down here, and they ignore me. Sent evidence to the FAA and warned that more incursions could trigger an armed response. In January 1966, an FAA official warned the Cubans will shoot down one of these planes. See, not the communist Cuban dictatorships. No, see the National Security Archive. That's where it is. On February 24th, 1996, three brothers to the rescue aircraft filed a false flight plan and took off from Florida. Their mission to penetrate Cuban airspace again. As the aircraft approached the island, Cuban controllers immediately warned them not to enter Cuban airspace. Not long after, Cuban fighter jets shot down two of the aircraft, killing all four men aboard. The downing of the planes was not only used to demonize Cuba, it reshaped U.S. policy in the 1990s and continues to do so today. The indictment appears to echo the Maduro playbook, fabricating far-fetched criminal charges to provide legal justification for a military attack. Far from being a culmination of a long search for accountability, the case could lay the legal groundwork for a new and more violent phase in Washington's siege on Cuba. So that's a big story coming out of Miami right now that I want our organizing spaces to be more aware of.
Y'all always got some drama.
Shit, I know. Don't I know? So this is what we fighting. This is the fascism, and these same people are coming to take our land. They've taken over the majority of Colored Town, now Overtown. It's a billionaire playground. So that's the consciousness our people have to get at. Ain't no buying power your way out of this. This is real power. This is what power actually looks like. So
speaking of power, I did this Stokely travel this weekend recently. And I was watching, I was reading something about, how did it start? I was reading something about maybe Tony K. Bombara. Somebody put together a bunch of talks, written articles or something. And it was talking about how the Mississippi Democratic Freedom Party was looking for a particular speaker and they couldn't get him. And so Ella Baker stepped in. And that led me to watching Fannie Lou Hamer's documentary, of which you can see young Stokely in there. And so you like to see the trajectory of young Stokely, SNCC, Black Power, International African, All Africans People Revolutionary Party. And then even in this panel, which is, they got, this one, Angela still was kind of spitting, a little bit of rap.
Yeah. This was 1973, of course.
Yeah. So but the three of them is sitting right by each other, Fannie Lou, and I think it's just beautiful to see, like, again, Stokely being a young boy behind her to like on the platform with her, and you could see like he's involved in their analysis. And then, like, shortly after that, you'll see Stokely going to her funeral, and then Stokely getting older and still talking. They keep bringing them back on TV. And this particular one, they was having the callers call in, and the phone, they was like, well, this costs so many cents per minute. And Stokely was like, well, in Cuba, the phone is free. It's capitalist, right?
That's funny. Can you send me that video?
Yeah, for sure.
That roundtable is legendary.
I'm doing some research about the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party.
Listen, you have
I will send you something too.
You have to watch that panel, man. That panel is, essentially it's still some of the same silly conversations, but man, that was a treat to rewatch.
Take us some heat. Yeah.
Period. I just want to address this comment because Dunn said that I have my daughter as my icon and that's my mentor. Every time I turn the camera off, it's a different icon. I don't know why StreamYard does this, but I will change it to a specific one. Yeah, and then have a different one every time. Even though I uploaded a picture, they don't care. They hate me.
Oh man. I see some responses in the chat that I want to address as well, which is about like, isn't this hope? Why are you showing this as like kind of depressing or hopeless? Not to me, honestly. And as someone already said, this is George Jackson our way out of this. To me, it's clarity. Like again, the same with Zionists, the Cuban diaspora living under mass delusion, while our people actually have the truth on our side is the most powerful thing to me. Because then we can stop with the illusions. The scary part for me is living in a hellscape where everyone's confused and where zombies, as Geechee interpreted it, who don't know what the fuck is going on. The fact that we're actually clear on this shit is how I feel like you can get organized. If you have the truth on your side, our people are going to flock to that because they want to actually have their conditions explained. To me, growing up in Miami, literally, there used to be ranked lists of like the worst dictators on earth. Of course, Stalin was up there. Hitler would be like number one, and Castro was right there. You know how many Cubans, white Cubans, have tried to compare their oppression to that of black people in South Florida because of what happened under Castro? And then I read this shit, even to this day, it's still arguing with, again, these progressive folks, allegedly, who are like, yeah, you know, black people are bad, but you would believe what Castro did under whatever. I'm like, y'all are out of your minds. So to me, it was another break. Just
I
like
don't get the comparisons.
It isn't. It's just like Zionists. It's false victimhood. It's mass psychosis from white supremacy. And so when I actually learned about these heroes and learned that before them there were African revolutionaries in Cuba and that Cuba's black and that most of the people that I'd be seeing like in Belly of the Beast Cuba still there are black, I'm like, oh, this is just y'all being racist again. This makes so much more sense in my experience. This makes so much more sense as to why the first generation of white Cubans have been able to come over here and gain power, because they literally lick boots. They are cool licking white supremacist boots. They want access to whiteness. Some of them are white. And so to me, that was the pure like, this all makes sense now. The Freedom Tower, all of this makes sense to me. Before, it's a lot of confusion, even like them playing Hispanic, right, with that game when they're white, right, is how they get over on like, yeah, our oppression is similar and you don't know where my people come from, or even you're privileged in Miami because you live in the US, when you're literally colonizing Overtown, when you don't know the history of Colortown, the genocide that is still happening there to this day, right? So they are colonizers. And so understanding them properly as colonizers was clarifying for me, but it was also clarifying for my family. And then, like Malcolm said, if you watch the news, they might have you believe that, the heroes are the villains and vice versa, right? So this gusano, basically term for worm, for Cuban coons, essentially, was telling me, Che was a terrible person, blah, blah, blah. Again, Che is one of my heroes. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see. So he tells me, go to this 1949 UN speech by Che. And I'm like, well, first off, white man, Che wasn't even in Cuba in the 40s. He didn't go to the UN. The revolution happened in the 50s.
Well,
goofy. But again, just like with Zionists, you know their history better than them. Kwame Ture is debating with white kids who have been taught Torah myths about why they're the chosen people, and he has actual history and evidence and organizing on his side, and has actually been to Cuba and has comrades there. Like, bro, so these people know what the fuck they're talking about. They're just spitting out the brainwashing. But I'm like, oh, okay, the 1964 UN speech, let's check that out. Let's see. As the delegation of Cuba, he goes on, he starts off by talking about, let me greet the presidents and prime ministers of Zambia, Malawi, Malta. Okay, so he starts off talking about Africans. He goes on to say that one of the diplomats in Africa has been given a seat. Let me see, I think it's from Ghana. There we go. Yes. Sorry. Second paragraph. The second paragraph. We wish to convey our congratulations to the president of this assembly, Alex Saki of Ghana, whose elevation to so high a post is of special significance since it reflects a new historic stage of resounding triumphs for the peoples of Africa. This is the motherfucker they're telling me is evil and racist. And Marco Rubio is apparently the good guy, the dude who I, since a child, knew was racist as fuck, hated black people, always talks down to us, right? Is the good guy in these white Cuban diaspora Cubans' minds, because unfortunately some of the black and brown Cubans who come here are brainwashed too. Celia Cruz was one of them. Even though people shout her out for the salsa and all that, you got to look. Soundtrack to a coup, you got to look. He's congratulating Africa. He goes on to talk about U.S. imperialism in this speech. Again, amazing speech. I'll put it in the show notes. And at the end, I want to just say, he talks about these demands that they have for the Cuban people. A halt to the economic blockade and all economic and trade pressures by the U.S. in all parts of the world against our country. A halt to all subversive activities, launching and landing of weapons and explosives by air, sea, organization of mercenary invasions, infiltrations of spies and saboteurs, acts all carried out from the territory of the United States and some accomplice countries. A halt to pirate attacks carried out from existing bases in the United States and Puerto Rico. A halt to all violations of our airspace and territorial waters. This is Che Guevara and Castro in 1964. Withdraw from Guantanamo Naval Base and return of the Cuban territory occupied by the United States. None of these elementary demands has been met, and our forces are still being provoked from the naval base in Guantanamo. Remember Obama was supposed to close that? Remember that? Mm-hmm. That base has become a nest of thieves and a launching pad for them into our territory. It is a torture camp where they torture innocent brown people, and where before we had alligator Alcatraz, before we had this modern rave of ICE, they were putting Cuban children in concentration camps on Guantanamo, and that was under Clinton. So clarity for me is far more freeing than living under this illusion that these gusanos tell us. So.
Plus, they can't read. Half of them can't read. I ain't gonna lie.
They can't read. It's the W meme. This won't stop me because I can't read. It's exactly. I be putting this shit in their face. I'm like, look at this shit. Look. I have the evidence here. They like, but my grandma told me. my grandpa and his egg factory. Right, but they'll be like, another trap. And I'll close it because I know we're already in overtime. I got in my bag on this. The other trap that falls into it is my fault, and I'm okay with it this time around. The normal lie they'll tell you is look at Cuban society, and they'll be like, "Oh, I wasn't rich," because the joke is that they're mad because Castro took my daddy's slaves, essentially. And when you look at these white Cubans, their parents were working for the U.S. They were working with the casinos, the mob, the corporations that own the entire Cuban economy. And so, yes, they were usually wealthy landowners, factory owners, capitalists, or bourgeoisie in their society. And they had that taken away from them. But there are a lot of white or brown, but mostly white Cubans who will say, well, my grandma wasn't rich. My grandpa wasn't rich. She was just a worker. She was middle class. What does middle class mean in America? What did the white middle class look like in the US? Because on the Cuban islands at the time, they had Jim Crow. And so when you say, my white grandmama was middle class, yeah, she was going to Havana at the segregated social clubs where they wouldn't let black people fucking swim because they had Jim Crow on the island the same way they had in the US. So every time one of these white Cubans talks about, well, my grandmama was a worker, she was a farmer, all that, she wasn't black. She wasn't experiencing sharecropping and Jim Crow the same way our people were, which is why I look at the black Cubans just like my people. I look at black Haitians just like my people, because same conditions, different island. So that's all I had.
Ricardo was a Cuban?
I don't know, but Celia's mom worked with the Batista, or Celia's family worked with the Batista regime. So again, they shout her out as like this Afro salsa Cuban legend. And that's why the white Cubans love her. And white Cubans were trying to claim her in front of me. Like, oh, that's our culture. What you know about that? I'm like, man, shut the Anyway, she's still African, and salsa is an African art form, but sure, whatever. Again, the Gusanos only care if you're on their side. But anyway, solidarity dispersed Africans. We are one. Apparently, Ricky Ricardo was Cuban. And louder for the ADOS in the back. Absolutely. The Cubans also used to play in the Negro Leagues along with the Dominicans and some Haitians back in the day, which is why the Negro Leagues were better than the majors.
Wait, was Lucy, I Love Lucy, she was Cuban too?
Yeah. Well, a lot of these white folk are Cuban. That's what I'm saying. A lot of them were CIA assets in that episode.
White passing.
Right, and it confuses people because it's a Spanish last name and we just don't learn history in the U.S. because they literally abandoned that shit in Florida. But the Spanish conquistadors are the ones in that mural I showed earlier. Marco Rubio gets made fun of because he's just a lesser conquistador. The conquistadors didn't get as much power as the British and the American Empire. And so he's made fun of because he's a white boy who speaks Spanish. And then he has to go and lick boots at the Munich Security Conference and say, my ancestors were the great Nova Scotians and Scots Irish, and brother, that wasn't your ancestors. They were the Spanish. Don't be mad. Don't be mad because now Trump talking about you speak either Spanish and I only speak American. You can't be mad because he wants to colonize again. But that's what they have to do. They have to audition for whiteness. And a lot of them have succeeded, just like the Zionists. I say they're in a competition, man.
I Love Lucy is that old, bro. I'm tripping.
Yeah, man. You grew up watching it. My mom made me watch that shit.
It was before the Cuban Revolution? That's crazy.
I Love Lucy super old. My mom was born in 1960. That was her childhood show. Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
It's very important to know these histories. Yeah, it all, again, like I'm saying, all of it starts connecting the dots. It makes way more sense to me. I was saying in that Real Talk episode I did with Dr. Sundiata, also covering this subject, he pointed out that the number one expenditures, like state expenditures for the CIA in Florida, was giving the Cuban diaspora money to start businesses. So again, no black buying power, no black capitalism. Black people didn't get the memo. You're right. We did not get the State Department memo. Most of us haven't seen the CIA cables funding most of these, business people and entrepreneurs, and their kids will go around telling you, my grandpappy came here with 6 cents in his pocket and he's a businessman right now. Why can't y'all Negroes get it together? So again, just all of this is healing from my childhood, from all the white Cubans, white Venezuelans, white conquistadors.
It's the white people.
It's the whites. It's the whites across the diaspora. They have their pan-Europeanism. We have our pan-Africanism. It is what it is. But we deep in overtime. Y'all got some things you want to promote, things y'all got coming up. You want to share? Shout out Belly of the Beast Cuba. They are out here for real.
Nah, the same old coming up this summer. I think we're still taking applications. Again, if you know any young people in Baltimore who would be a part of this writing intensive, they should definitely sign up.
Yeah,
so I'll put it in the chat again.
You drop the link in the chat again? I'll put it in the run sheet now.
Somebody in the chat said, fellow Miami in here, Lord breaking it down, period.
Thank you.
Because niggas know what they talking about where they from.
Of course. Hell yeah. Shout out Kari if you come through to some of the programming.
Geechee, you getting tenure at Spelman?
No, I think I'm probably gonna be fired that fast.
Oh, that's exactly
they got Boyce Watkins coming to Spelman too, man.
The duality of it.
I mean, not Spelman. I mean, Morehouse.
Morehouse.
Wait, what you asked me if I'm getting tenure at Spelman? You got me saying Spelman.
Because
somebody in the chat said that.
Yeah, Done and None said Spelman.
Well, I didn't see that. I missed that. My bad.
It's like 3 up. Okay. Amber, you got anything to promote? Anything coming up this weekend?
No.
Word.
House.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to laugh like that. It's not me being sneaky. There is nothing happening. I'm just gonna be in my house.
Now you going to the movies.
I am gonna go to the movies tonight, but other than that, I'll be at my house chilling with my dog. He's right here.
And he like, y'all going overtime again? God damn.
He wants to go outside.
Some things for me to promote. The Pendleton 2, they stood up. There's a screening.
You gonna have something to promote.
Of course. We acted. We acted out here. The Pendleton 2, they stood up. Again, we talked about what happens when our people know what needs to be done, are willing to pay that price, right? And so we want to support 2 political prisoners, Christopher Naeem Trotter and John Balagoon Cole. And so the Pendleton 2, they stood up. Will be screened May 30th at the People's Forum. So check it out if you're in New York City. Also, it's available for free online. So always check it out there. I want to promote this other effort with IFCO Pastors for Peace. It's a donation drive. Help us send 60,000 pounds of aid to our neighbors in Cuba as President Trump, Secretary of State Rubio, and all these other gusanos and white supremacists try and attack the island. So Trump unleashes deadly sanctions on Cuba. We're sending aid, trying to get to 100,000 people. Surgical supplies, $25 for catheters, $20 for menstrual pads, $40 for 50 school notebooks, $40 for baby formula, $30 for a 6-month supply of vitamins, $50 per box of canned foods. And this is IFCO Pastors for Peace, coordinating with some other efforts. Of course, we got to be careful. We're seeing even, kind of liberal folks like Hassan Piker are getting hemmed up in indictments and all that. And as we just saw, they'll just make shit up and throw it at you. But that's nothing new for our people. That's literally what the Pendleton 2 are dealing with right now. So if you want to donate, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. It is for aid, medical aid, the stuff that you're supposed to be allowed to send. All right, but they only want it filtered through the Catholic Church that works with the CIA. You can't do it your way. So, last but not least, I want to just share. Check out Revolutionary Skepticism with me and Baba Lou Turner and Jared yesterday. If you want to skip the atheist yapping, an hour in, Baba Lou Turner joins us and talks about Frantz Fanon, and he is one of the top Fanon scholars. Fanon, sorry, I've been mispronouncing it. Fanon scholars in the world. So it was a great episode.
Oh, this nigga I'm talking to reading one of them books, and I had to tell him how to pronounce the name too, and now he thinks I'm so smart.
There you go. I asked Lou at the beginning, I'm like, is it Du Bois or Du Bois? So he says it's Fanon. So
hey, it's a new documentary out there about WEB. I ain't gonna hold you. They on that nigga ass. I did not know his wife was once his student. I did not know he was so abusive and such a cheater.
Amber, watch Jared's review. That shit is that is some, again, we talk about that counterinsurgent propaganda. That movie, that shit is ass. But they're doing it on purpose.
But I mean, him being a cheater is still not good.
Of course not.
Who?
But they focus Du Bois.
WEB.
They focus on that.
Du Bois. That every time
I really like him like that though. So I mean, it doesn't take much for me to hate him.
That's a GOAT. Nah, we're gonna build. We'll watch Jared's review. Du Bois is a GOAT. Personal contribution.
Wait, she don't like Du Bois? You don't like Du Bois?
Well, I mean, it depends on what era you learn him in. That's what I'm trying to talk about.
Man, old as hell.
They
I
cut
don't
him off.
think that's what it is. I just think that I think that some of my opinions around the argument between him and Booker T. Washington are a little different. That's all. I don't agree with some of his things. And actually, the nigga who reads agrees with me. So
well,
he actually put me on. He actually had an even deeper opinion about it. But yeah, I saw some of the documentary and I was like,
You can't.
That documentary is trash.
You gotta watch Jared's review. But also, without Du Bois, we don't get Pan-Africanism in this way. Of course, we would have gotten in a dialectical, no great man theory.
We got
Du Bois.
We got a Du
Bois.
Bois.
I still don't like
Pan-Africanism at the boy. That boy, him and Ida B. They were putting in work. We can't. She was just white. Lucy wasn't.
That's
Cuban.
not gonna make me like him.
The partner to I Love Lucy was Cuban, not Lucy.
No, that's what we about to play a clip real quick of I Love Lucy when we go out. But I think we need to do a conversation on the voice next week, like a reading assignment, and then struggle around whatever.
Ear Doctor's trying to make us do an afterthought, a remix afterthought for Patreon. Subscribe to us on Patreon. Again, we don't know when YouTube's gonna pull the plug, especially if I'm promoting things like this on here. But
he's talking about communism and shit. They gonna find us.
They gonna find us. We here. But I would check out. We might have a remix afterthought. We can cook on this Du Bois thing a little more. Du Bois is a GOAT. Even if we don't appreciate his personal things, he lays the foundation. And Booker T. a coon. I'm gonna say it. But shit, that's for a whole nother day, and people are gonna be on my ass.
I never said I like Booker T. Washington.
No, I didn't say that. I'm just gonna say it. So as the debate go.
Hey, they said Booker was hustling the white boys for some money. That they said.
I agree with WEB in the argument between him and Booker T. Washington.
Well,
but there's
Hubert Harrison. That both of them was wrong.
Well,
I just don't like WEB Du Bois because I feel like he's a fuck nigga. But I didn't disagree with the argument of him versus Booker T.
He was transforming. But shout out Shirley Graham, the Black communist partner to WEB who organized Malcolm's tour through Ghana, was a legend in her own right. And they ain't gonna put her in the documentary neither. Just like Ida B. Wells wasn't in there. They ain't gonna put no black.
But I also think that I feel like some of these are like I would pull like some ideas from them, but I don't like a lot of other things about them because there's some things about Booker T. Washington I like, but I don't like some other things too. It's very a mixed bag. There's nobody that I actually really like fully.
We got a reading assignment coming up.
We do. We got some afterthoughts. The last thing I was going to promote is, like I said, Revolutionary Skepticism yesterday, and then check out Blackman Bill's YouTube channel. We re-uploaded our Malcolm X Part 1, which was really dope about his time in Kenya with Professor James Pope. We had our wartime on combating femicide. which was really cool. We have a lot of great work. What Will Malcolm X Do Today, which is some audio from our comrades in St. Louis. It's just great work. A lot of things here. And what I was recommending a little bit earlier, Financial Literacy, Path to Freedom or Strategic Diversion with Jerry Ball and Erica Brown. So all of this kind of great content is on the channel. Highly recommend y'all check it out. And that's all I had for this
Also,
week.
you can check out my YouTube at A is for Afro. I learned how to change my name. So be proud of me. And I uploaded 2 shorts. And the short I uploaded today is about gas prices and if they're going down or not, and the agreement that Trump has made with Iran and what's going to happen with that. So you probably like it.
You in this I Love. All right. You can take us out on I Love Lucy. And then we can Lucy was in Cuba, my mistake. Again, I think it was the partner. The partner, her husband was Cuban, Ricky.
And this is, I think this
I knew what you meant.
When they were supposedly some of his Cuban friends was coming home from a dance or about to be in the dance or whatever. So there you go. Oh, wait. What?
This is how you know white people ain't invent salsa, y'all. That shit right there.
Lucy, have you gone off your rocker? Your brother is home. Wait a minute. Lucy, what's going on?
We have big
What's that accent, bro?
frijole, taco, enchilada, tamale, buenos ranchitas, guacamole, guaco taco. Big fiesta.
Lucy, please, would you mind telling me what's going on?
We make everything nice for you, like when you're a little boy in Cuba. You like?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't?
Now, look, would you please explain to me what is the idea of all this?
Well, I thought you were getting tired of me, and if our home reminded you of Cuba, you might like me better.
Oh, honey. Oh, Lucy, darling. If I wanted things Cuban, I stayed in Havana. That's the reason I married you, because you're so different from anyone I've known in Cuba.
Who'd you know in Cuba?
White people humor. I see why I didn't enjoy watching this with my mom now. She tried this in what's the family show where they had the non-Brady Bunch. I'll be like, yo, y'all had some trash.
Yeah.
I'm glad I grew up in the 90s, boy. I tell you.
Oh, he also the spank Lucy. Oh shoot.
Yeah, he spanked somebody. I remember that. I was like, "Mom, what is this?" They were just happy to have TV, bro. That's all it is.
I can believe it.
Ricky would sing, by the way.
Oh man. All right, well, that's something to close us out on. Y'all ready to go?
Yeah, we out of here.
All right, the palate cleanse. As Chairman Fred Hampton used to say, as we say, and we send to you peace only if you're willing to fight for it, and we'll catch you.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.